What? Crossing. Peng Yu collected intelligence calmly and adapted to his identity. Well, with his status as a prince, unparalleled appearance, top-notch martial arts skills, he is the chosen son at the beginning of the game. Although the original owner was poisoned, there was a slight flaw in his martial arts skills. But it's understandable. What? No original owner memory. Peng Yu was a bit panicked, but it was still within an acceptable range. What? Can the Great Kun Divine Dynasty check for soul looting? Are they planning to examine my soul? Peng Yu panicked, packed his things, and immediately left the palace. What? The Great Kun Dynasty is a high demon and super martial arts, with its own 800 affiliated worlds. The great divine power moves mountains and seas, slaying dragons and killing gods. Peng Yu hesitated. This world is too dangerous, I want to go home. Keywords of the novel. Dao Qiankun without pop-ups. Download the complete collection of Dao Qiankun TXT, and read the latest chapters of Dao Qiankun. Chapter 1. The Great Kun Dynasty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Great Kun Dynasty. Kunwa Palace, in front of Feifeng Gate, a carriage is undergoing inspection. The coachman took out a token and said, "My young master is on leave today. He will go home to visit his parents and come back tomorrow." The guard checked the token and casually asked the coachman, "Isn't third young master taking care of sixth prince? Can he leave the palace now?" Before the coachman could speak, a tender and crisp voice came from inside the carriage. "The sixth prince has recovered from his illness, and his majesty is greatly pleased. He allows me to leave the palace for one day and report my safety to my parents." Upon hearing the sound inside, the guard quickly bowed. After a brief inspection, the colorful phoenix statues on both sides of the Feifeng Gate spread their wings and flew up, slowly descending holding the palace gate cloud bridge. Is this the guardian beast of Feifeng Gate? Inside the carriage, besides Xuanyang, the third son of Marquis Yunyang, there was also a sickly and haggard boy. He secretly stood by the window, peering through the crystal window at the phoenix dancing and circling outside. Having only traveled to this world for 3 days, Peng Yu was amazed by everything in this mystical world. Xuanyang trembled and quickly pulled him back from the window, carefully using his mouth to say, "Be quiet." Peng Yu blinked and nodded silently. But Xuanyang still sweated a lot. The carriage set off again, and 2 winged sky horses pulled the carriage with their heads raised as they walked out of the palace gate. "Wait a minute." Suddenly, the chief guard stopped them. In the carriage, Xuanyang panicked. The sixth prince secretly ran to his car, and if he was caught, he would inevitably be beaten up by the emperor when he turned around. The chief guard knocked on the window, and Xuanyang felt a wave of nervousness again. It was Peng Yu, who, like no one else, looked at Xuanyang's expression with great interest. In the past 3 days of getting along, he saw many people from Xuanyang with a mischievous appearance, but he forgot that he was only 12 years old, and he would also be panicked and at a loss. "Third prince, may I ask something? I heard that Prince Lu is seriously ill, and he stays in the palace day and night. I think Prince Lu is doing well and can walk now." Xuanyang breathed a sigh of relief in secret, not realizing that the sixth prince was in the car. But how can he tell outsiders about the situation of the sixth prince? The boy frowned and asked seriously, "Do you want to inquire about His Highness's whereabouts?" "I dare not, it's just that we outsiders have heard rumors. It's said that the sixth prince is seriously ill because of poisoning." "A bunch of nonsense." Xuanyang sternly rebuked, "Your Highness, your mother has fallen ill and has occasionally been infected with cold air. How can there be any poison? If you guard the palace gate and spread these rumors every day, be careful not to lose your head." As he spoke, he observed His Highness wearing a red and golden robe beside him. Peng Yu heard the words of the chief guard outside and made no statement, just sitting quietly there. He has been in this world for 3 days now and has a rough understanding of the original owner's situation. A month ago, the original owner, Prince 6, fainted at the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet and then fell seriously ill. Of course, Peng Yu himself knew that it was poisoning. The original owner is likely to have died from poisoning. However, even the guards at the palace gate know about the poisoning news. Peng Yu's eyebrows twitched as he pondered playing with the ring on his finger. Zhuanyang dealt with the chief guard outside, and soon the carriage flew slowly down the cloud bridge at the palace gate. After Tianma's high-speed car left Yunqiao, Zhuanyang's heart finally fell to the ground. He immediately questioned the child next to him. "Your Highness, are you satisfied now?" "No, we can't wait until Jinwu City." Peng Yu said slowly, "I told you where you're going today, I'll go." Zhuanyang gritted his teeth in anger and said, "Are you really planning to stay outside for a day?" The boy secretly regretted that he couldn't carefully inspect the carriage when he left the palace, and why did he let the sixth prince, a disaster star, sneak in? Zhuanyang only discovered that the sixth prince was hiding in his carriage when it was about to approach the Feifeng gate. But with the palace gate in sight, it's too late to turn back. So, he could only grit his teeth and bring the sixth prince out. "Can't it?" Peng Yu said with a sad expression, "My serious illness came suddenly. I have been in a coma a few days ago and regret that I have never left Kunwu Palace." "Well, I've only been in this world for 3 days. I haven't left Kunwu Palace for the past 3 days and haven't lied." "Pooh!" Zhuanyang quickly interrupted, "Don't talk nonsense, Your Highness, your precious body. Such words must not be nonsense." But a 12-year-old boy obviously couldn't handle the soul of Peng Yu, an adult. He deliberately adjusted his angle and looked out the window with melancholy. Zhuanyang happened to see his slightly red circles around his eyes and his melancholic expression. "If I could take a look outside before I die, I should have no regrets." Zhuanyang couldn't help but feel a hint of sympathy as he looked at the boy his age. Yes, he has never left the heavenly palace. Even almost died this time. It is said that he has a noble status and is loved by the divine emperor. At the end of the day, it's just a chick confined in a cage. Zhuanyang struggled in his heart for a while, but in the end, he reluctantly struggled. "First of all, it's agreed that you can only take a stroll around Jinwu City. When I return to the palace tomorrow, you must come with me." "No, I'll be back in the afternoon." Zhuanyang's teeth were itching with hatred. As a companion to the sixth prince, he encountered him seriously ill within a few months of entering the palace and his life was not long. In order not to be implicated, he could only spend time with the sixth prince, pay for his own medicine, and take careful care of him. He is also a noble young master from a big family and has never done any rough work. "This is the first time I've served someone in my life, I'll give it to this guy." After finally leaving the palace and returning home, he secretly got into his carriage and went out with him. "This is to let your majesty know, do you still need your own brain? And the holiday I finally got was completely yellowed out because of him. Your Highness, please remember to change your clothes later when you leave the palace. Also, you can't eat anything on the way casually. When you reach the ground, don't walk with strangers." Zhuanyang muttered to himself, recounting all the demands of his family towards him. "Finally, you must never leave my side. If you don't see us, our Yunyang Marquis' mansion will be finished." "Okay. I definitely won't leave you." Peng Yu gave his acting a perfect score in his heart. Then, lying by the window, I watched the magnificent and mysterious scenery outside. Golden clouds and red auspicious lights flickered from both sides of the carriage. Looking back at Kunwu Palace behind me, this heavenly palace stands in the clouds, solemn and solemn. That's right, this is a palace suspended in the sky. Jinwu City is 100 zhang away from the ground, which is over 300 meters. Seeing this suspended palace, Peng Yu deeply felt what kind of spiritual civilization the Great Kun Dynasty was. I have traveled to a fantasy world, and it is a highly developed spiritual civilization. 3 days ago, Peng Yu accidentally crossed into the body of the sixth prince. This is a body without a soul, without any competition, he easily controls the body. Unfortunately, he also did not have the memory of the sixth prince. If it weren't for the Qiankun ring coming from this world, it would have been passed down through language and writing. He was arrested for examination on the same day because he couldn't speak properly. At the first moment when he opened his eyes, the person he saw was Xuanyang lying by the bed taking care of him. For the past 3 days, Peng Yu has been carefully collecting intelligence in the palace to understand his environment. However, the intelligence collected in the Kunwu Heavenly Palace these 3 days is not as shocking as the suspended imperial city in front of us. At this moment, he deeply felt that he had come to a completely different time and space. Taking back his gaze from outside, Peng Yu turned to his companion reader and nodded solemnly. "Don't worry, I promised you, just to come out and breathe. By the way, can you ride the Tianma outside?" The 2 blue sky horses outside the carriage grew fleshy wings, flapping their wings and flying in the sky. This strange breed of horse has never been seen by Peng Yu on earth. "If I could ride and run a few laps, that would be great." "No way." Xuanyang refused without hesitation. The Fui heavenly horse was a precious breed of horse from the reign of Emperor Kun. Although it had a gentle personality, it was not something that a 12-year-old boy could control. Peng Yu was slightly disappointed, which is a pity. After all, this horse may be dying soon. Fui Tianma was very fast and soon fell into Jinwu City. Jinwu City was the capital of the Great Kun Dynasty and a protective city below the suspended imperial city, guarded by Jinwu Wei, one of the 13 legions of the Great Kun. Looking out the window, this is a towering skyscraper, no less than the Earth in its past life, and even a highly developed city. Jinwu City has 2 parts. Above ground and underground. The high-rise buildings protrude from the underground, with an average height of 100 meters. In the center of these buildings, there are pure white circular towers located right below the Kunwu Heavenly Palace. That is the Tongtian Pagoda. Every year, the Heavenly Palace descends to Jinwu City one day. It descends from the clouds and receives congratulations from the people at the top. Of course, Your Highness has been in the Qianyuan Hall all year and has not seen this tower outside. Seeing the sixth prince staring at the Tower of Heaven in a trance, Xuanyang instructed the coachman, "Don't go down yet, take a spin in the air. After all, His Highness 6 is only 3 months younger than me, and he is still a child." Consciously elderly, Xuanyang looked at this noble son from the heavenly palace who had never fallen into the mortal world, and couldn't help but feel a little more caregiving. But soon, he abandoned the ideas in his mind. That's the sixth prince, the least well-served lord in the heavenly palace. Cold and arrogant, with unpredictable weather, I used to have a bad face towards myself. Let him take a walk outside today and send him directly back to the palace. Just today, let him have a good time outside. Quan Dang. Quan Dang repaid yesterday's kindness by helping me out of the siege. The boy's mind was filled with countless thoughts, and Peng Yu had no idea. He is lamenting the grandeur of this towering tower. The Tower of Heaven, as its name suggests, connects heaven and earth and serves as the pillar of the Kunwu Heavenly Palace's descent into the human world. The upper level of the tower belongs to the Heavenly Palace and is a restricted area. The middle level is the office of officials in Jinwu City. Looking down from the sky, one can see white doves flying out of the window. Those messengers flew to various places through the Tower of Heaven to convey the will of the Heavenly Palace. The carriage spun in the air for a while before flying to the bottom of the sky tower for inspection. This inspection is stricter than in front of Feifeng Gate. Seeing the golden plate, Xuanyang was sweating profusely. I almost forgot about this level. This gold plate can distinguish living people. It's over, it's over. Xuanyang's mind was blank. If it is found out that the sixth prince is in his carriage, can I still have my own little life? Compared to Xuanyang, Peng Yu is much more composed. He dares to sneak out of the heavenly palace after collecting intelligence for 3 days. Instead of running to the emperor to compete for favor and show off, there is naturally one's own consideration. Calm down. Don't worry, they can't find me. Peng Yu turned the Qiankun ring on his left middle finger, and his invisible spirit slowly rose, enveloping him and floating in the carriage. Xuanyang's eyes lit up and he asked in a low voice, "Can your Hunyuan true qi avoid inspection?" Peng Yu blinked and remained silent. Sure enough, they all thought that the martial arts practiced by the original master were the ancient Hunyuan sects, Hunyuan Tianlong Jing. The boy thought to himself, so it seems that outsiders don't know about the sixth prince as a disciple of the Qiankun sect. Not only do they not know, outsiders cannot even see the Qiankun ring on his right ring finger and left middle finger. The 10 precepts of Qiankun are the secret treasures passed down by the ancient Qiankun sect, which can travel through time and space and cultivate great roads. Peng Yu bought a ring at a certain antique market a month ago, in order to gain the superpower of retrieving items from afar. He originally thought that he could use his spatial superpowers to dominate the city. I should be the protagonist in urban novels, and next I should embrace all the beauties, but just 3 days ago, the ring suddenly shone and pulled him into this mystical time and space, falling into the body of the sixth prince. And the sixth prince's left middle finger carried a Qiankun ring with the same regulations as his. It was precisely at that time that he obtained the inheritance of the ancient Qiankun Dao and learned the secret of the 10 precepts. The 10 precepts of Qiankun are based on Qiankun, with Qianyi to Qianwu on the left and Kunyi to Kunwu on the right, sealing the secrets and treasures of Qiankun sect. The Qiansanji of the sixth prince is a secret technique called Qianyuan Huntian Gang, which can transform the true qi of Qiankun into Gang qi to protect the body, and cannot be broken by any means. In his own Kun 4 precepts, there is the 2 realms reversing yin and yang method, which is the highest technique of time and space shuttle in the Qiankun sect. In addition, there is a teleportation array constructed based on the technique of crossing 2 realms. It was through the teleportation array that he was able to penetrate his soul into the body of the sixth prince. The Qiankun Dao is known for its spatial laws, traversing time and space, the Shumijiezi, and the sleeve of Qiankun. Even the teleportation arrays between the main cities of the Great Kun Dynasty are remnants of the ancient Qiankun sect. Peng Yu activated the Qian Sanjia and enveloped his whole body with the turbid and vigorous qi. Not to mention a mere inspection, even if experts from the heavenly gang realm come, they cannot detect his breath. He even sat inside the carriage, unaware of any weight outside. Judging solely from the difficulty of the carriage, there is only one boy's weight inside. Quickly, the carriage passed the inspection and left from the Tower of Heaven. Peng Yu seemed to be aware and saw 2 passers-by hurriedly leaving not far away through the window. They were staring at the carriage just now, maybe. Leaving the Tower of Heaven, Xuanyang breathed a sigh of relief. Next, just serve this little ancestor well. Once he's finished playing, feel free to send him back to the palace. Xuanyang, if I were you, I would immediately raise my guard. It seems like someone is bothering you. Hey. Xuanyang looked up and looked at Peng Yu with a puzzled expression. Me. I just left the palace, who's bothering me? Peng Yu sat firmly and grabbed the armrest. Suddenly, the heavenly horse roared and the entire carriage shook. Xuanyang was unstable and just lay down. Free gift, although I know you respect me, you don't have to bow at all times. Outside, be normal. What caught the eye were a pair of golden dragon leather boots tied with a heart-stopping bell. Looking up, His Highness Six was looking at him with a mocking expression on his face. Xuanyang's face turned red and he became angry with embarrassment, shouting outside, "What's going on? Young master, you are a group of people in black, you should be the assassins." The coachman calmed Tianma and said calmly, 8 people are experts in bone refining. Then quickly resolve it, Xuanyang sat down and said coldly, "Just grab it and wait for Jin Wuwei to come and handle the aftermath." But in his heart, Zhuanyang quickly calculated. His carriage carrying the Zhuan Sun family emblem was indeed aimed at him. Is it the seventh princess who offended her yesterday, or is it the Marquis of Lingyang or the Marquis of Hanyang, who is causing trouble for herself? Peng Yu clearly thought of this and asked in a low voice, those three family members from yesterday. If they were, it would be easier to handle. It's much easier to rush towards oneself than to trouble the sixth prince. Your Highness, wait a moment. After speaking, Zhuanyang pushed the door open and left. Then quickly close it to prevent Peng Yu from being exposed. The new book is starting. I hope everyone can support me a lot. Recommendation tickets and monthly tickets can be submitted without hesitation. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Muddy Sky and Gang Chi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Muddy Sky and Gang Chi. Inside the carriage, Peng Yu lay by the window and looked out. Unlike the bustling area of the Tongtian Tower just now, there are no pedestrians on either side of the street where the carriage is located, and it seems that they have been expelled beforehand. Listening to Zhuanyang's conversation with the group outside, Peng Yu gradually realized something was wrong. It seems that he was not a thug dispatched by the Marquis's mansion. Yesterday, Zhuanyang had a dispute with two nobles in the palace. Even if they were to seek revenge, they would choose the day when Zhuanyang left the palace today. But would it be foolish to directly kill someone? This is the capital city of a country. Have people from one Marquis's mansion publicly killed the young master of another Marquis's mansion and held His Majesty the Emperor in high regard? Is there any other trouble with Zhuanyang? After all, Peng Yu only traveled for 3 days and had no understanding of Zhuanyang. Not to mention Peng Yu, even Zhuanyang himself is unclear about the origins of these people. I only fight with a few young nobles from the Marquis's mansion, this is just a fight from the younger generation. Murong Yun really dares to kill me. Is he crazy? An assassin rushed over, and Zhuanyang kicked him away, then drew his sword and slashed him. Get lost. Then he slapped the assassin who was ambushing behind him. Zhuanyang comes from a martial arts family and has an amazing talent in martial arts. If it weren't for taking care of the sixth prince in the past month, his own essence would have been depleted and he had not yet recovered. Just a few assassins, he can solve it alone. The boy swung his sword and unleashed a red sword aura, shouting, Lingguang, leave one alive, and everyone else will be killed. Yes. The coachman waved his whip, and the silver light turned into a vast river, encircling 8 assassins and falling into his own territory. Heavenly Gang Realm. A killer exclaimed in surprise and quickly retreated. The Yunyang Marquis's mansion has such a deep foundation that it even uses experts from the Heavenly Gang Realm as charioteers. Unexpectedly, these assassins immediately dispersed. Indeed, it was not sent by other feudal lords. How could the elites of other feudal lords be so useless? Zhuanyang stood on the carriage and murmured to himself, who is this trying to kill me? Unconsciously, he thought of the ambush he had encountered earlier this year. That time, it wasn't because I was lucky. When I met someone important, I'm afraid a few tens of zhang away, inside a restaurant. Murong led a few servants to watch the battle by the carriage. The nobleman shook the folding fan and asked in confusion, who is causing trouble for the Marquis of Yunyang? The Marquis of Hanyang said this morning that they won't take action. A servant smiled and said, perhaps it's someone else their family has offended. Fifth young master, do you think we should go over and get involved? What did you get involved in? Helping Zhuanyang clear the siege and offending an unknown force for nothing. Murong snorted coldly, you wouldn't plan to incite me to help these assassins, would you? Shouldn't it be? The servant muttered to himself. Last night, the 8th young master came out of the palace with news that Zhuanyang was going home today, so he planned to trouble him. Stupid. Murong Kai saw the expression on his servant's face and immediately understood his thoughts. He cursed, stupid, I'm asking Zhuanyang for trouble. It's a face-to-face dispute between the two marquis mansions. Helping an unknown assassin attack the young master of another marquis mansion would offend all the aristocratic families. As part of the marquis's mansion camp, not only could Xuanyang not be killed, but they also had to go and save him. But to save someone who has a grudge against his own family, Morong Wugong couldn't bear this face. He stared at the streets around the carriage. White mist surged on both sides, without a single pedestrian. A few people wanted to go, but unconsciously avoided that street. Leaving person curse. Someone deliberately cast a curse to separate people on both sides. Morong pondered for a moment before slowly saying, "Go to two people and report to Jin Wuwei to save Xuanyang. As for this curse, don't move around. If you break the spell and let ordinary residents enter by mistake, it will not be beautiful." Yes. The people from Lingyang Marquis' mansion rushed up to report to Jin Wuwei. Closing the fan, Morong sighed inwardly. I was supposed to trouble Xuanyang, but now it seems that I can only wait and see what happens. Peng Yu waited in the carriage for a while, but when he saw no one approaching, he knew it was a plan against Xuanyang in advance. And also, he saw an old man in black standing on a distant tower through the window. The person quietly looked towards the direction of the carriage, with a terrifying aura locking onto it. As long as the coachman and Xuanyang reveal their flaws, they immediately unleash a thunderous blow. Tiangang Realm. To deal with Xuanyang Chefu. After some thought, Peng Yu turned the ring on his right ring finger. The ripples of space rippled as he disappeared from the carriage. At the next moment, he appeared opposite the man in black. Ouch! Suddenly, Peng Yu didn't stand firm and almost fell on the eaves. Well, the roof is a bit slippery. Peng Yu spread out his arms and stood cautiously as if crossing a single wooden bridge. Who? The man in black stared at the situation on Xuanyang's side and suddenly saw a little boy appear next to him. Peng Yu urged the Qiankun ring on the middle finger of his left hand, unleashing his strong energy and quickly enveloping the entire roof when the old man was not on guard. The old man was wary in his heart and vaguely felt that there were differences around him. But upon careful observation, it seems that there has been no change. Kid, who the hell are you? The old man stared at the boy across from him and said coldly, Are you from the Marquis of Yunyang's mansion? No, I'm just a kind-hearted person passing by. Peng Yu smiled innocently. Suddenly disappearing from the old man's sight at the next moment. Pushi, the old man felt a pain in his heart and looked down at the boy stepping on his feet and reaching out, pulling out a heart from his own heart. You. The old man quickly activated his true chi to create a virtual heart. Give back my heart. The boy's figure swayed and he broke away from the old man's attack. How bad is it to fight and kill? The boy, relying on his current child's skin, deliberately asked in an innocent manner, Old man, I see you have been staring at the carriage of the Marquis of Yunyang mansion. Are you with that group of assassins? The old man closed his mouth, and the vigorous energy stimulated the power of the Tai Yin, causing a bright moon to slowly rise. The cold air froze inch by inch, and soon the roof where the two of them were located turned into a cold ice field. Peng Yu showed a disdainful expression, and Kun Si Jia turned and teleported away once again. Watching Peng Yu unable to slide his hands, the old man became even more anxious. He imitated his heart with vigorous chi, and could only support a stick of incense. If he couldn't retrieve his own heart, or if his heart was crushed, it would be over. But no matter how he attacked, the boy kept flashing and moving, unable to catch him at all. What kind of magic are you? The old man's brain was spinning rapidly. This kid is definitely a person of immortality, and he is a person of the land immortals and the like. Only with such a crane-haired and childlike appearance, can a monster that is rejuvenated easily suppress itself. After a while, Peng Yu appeared again. Forget it, I'll give it back to you. I feel a bit nauseous holding my heart in my hand. The boy reappeared in front of the old man and stuffed his heart back. At that moment, the old man's simulated vigorous Qi heart and his own heart were squeezed together. Bang! The strong energy devoured the heart, and the old man could no longer resist, spraying blood wildly and stumbling backwards. Ah, can't you be more civilized? Faced with the blood sprayed out by the old man, Peng Yu reached out and urged the Huntian Gang Qi, an invisible barrier blocking all the blood. The old man pointed trembling fingers at Peng Yu, unable to say a word. At this moment, he is working hard to repair his heart. But he saw the ring flashed by the boy's left hand as he reached out to resist the blood. At the same time, he also saw the boy's hand grabbing his heart, without a trace of blood. The most precious divine ring of Qiankun sect. Ah, I understand. This is Qiankun sect's heart-picking technique. The idea flashed through the mind of the old man chasing the moon, and his eyes turned black and he completely fainted. The first one. The boy solved the old man and glanced in the direction of Xuanyang. The coachman seemed somewhat hesitant, deliberately leaving some strength to protect Xuanyang, and slowly locked the 8 assassins in his own vigorous energy field, killing them one by one. Should it be the assassin who is not far away and is afraid to do his best? Peng Yu looked into the distance and saw many people hiding in the darkness, waiting for the coachman to reveal their flaws. Then help them a little more. Peng Yu quickly moved to another place and stood behind the 2 assassins. These 2 assassins, one fat and one thin, were lying on the roof staring at Xuanyang, ready to launch a surprise attack at any time. Qiankun fairy technique, changing heads. Peng Yu's left hand urged 2 layers of turbid heavenly gang qi to wrap around their heads, and with a gentle movement, their heads exchanged. Jiao Li and Meng He were lying on the roof, alert to the footsteps behind them. But soon it turned black in front of him, and when he recovered again, Jiao Li, who was thin in stature, saw his face appear in front of his companion. Lao Meng, you. What's wrong with you? How did you become my face? The short, chubby assassin Meng He turned his head when he heard his companion's words. At first glance, I was startled. I'll go, Lao Jiao. Why do you disguise yourself like me? On the slender assassin's neck, there is a plump head. On the neck of the chubby assassin was a small head with a melon seed face. Looking at each other, the 2 assassins noticed something was wrong. As the heads swap, the blood in their bodies and the blood in their brains flow. The 2 of them quickly passed out. Peng Yu stood behind the 2 and sighed, saying, the technique of heart-picking and head-changing of the Qiankun sect is really effective. The predecessors who created this technique back then were really skilled. They even thought of using blood type and organ rejection to deal with enemies. Picking the heart, changing the head, and even a simple blood transfusion can be enough to cause a heavy blow. Reaching out and holding down the 2 assassins, Peng Yu brought the unconscious moon chaser back into the carriage. Not long after, several experts dressed in red clothes appeared on the roof where the moon chaser was just now. Strange, the old man chasing the moon noticed something was wrong and ran away directly. The leader looked around at several subordinates and said, who was staring at him just now? It's me. A young man said, he was here just now, but he disappeared in an instant. The young man tried to justify himself, he should have noticed that we were collecting the net, so he withdrew early. No, there's blood on the ground and footprints. There should have been a fight before. A person squatted down and said, look at the footprints. It seems like a child. Child. Sun Zhang's expression changed. Dao Men. What Sun Gu means is that the Taoist sect is not old and immortal. But isn't the 6 palaces of the immortal Dao not involved in these killing and attacking activities? So it's just speculation. First, go catch Jiao Li and Meng He, and then return to report to His Majesty the Emperor. However, when they arrived at the 2 assassin hideouts, they couldn't find anyone either. And here, a pair of small footprints also appeared. Indeed, it was the immortal from the 6 palaces of the immortal Dao who made a move. Could it be that the emperor's net closing operation, besides us, specially invited experts from the Taoist sect? The sixth prince fell seriously ill and his life and death were uncertain. The person who wants to explore its true situation is not someone from one or two sides. As the person who took close care of the sixth prince, Xuanyang must know the inside story. The emperor intentionally gave Xuanyang a day off to visit him. Its purpose is to use Xuanyang fishing to investigate the group of people who secretly poisoned. Unexpectedly, Peng Yu intervened and secretly climbed onto the Xuanyang carriage, directly defeating the three heavenly gang realm masters. Causing suspicion among the subordinates of the Emperor of God, suspecting that it was a high-level figure from a sect. Sun Jing watched as the fighting around the carriage had stopped. 8 assassins were killed by Xuanyang's coachman alone, and Xuanyang rushed back into the car. Alright, let's take care of the aftermath for Jin Wuwei and withdraw. Do you want to escort the Marquis of Yunyang straight home? After all, he was also shocked. Sending them back was detected by the Marquis's mansion of Yunyang. Are you going to face the anger of Lord Zhuan then? The speaker immediately shrank their head, afraid to go, afraid to go. Who doesn't know that the Marquis's mansion in Yunyang has a strong foundation, and contemporary Marquis Yi is a top-notch expert who has stepped into the realm of martial arts with half a foot. This book, Dao Qiankun, also known as the Kun Dao, if you think both names are not good. Everyone can read the book first and then help me think of a better one later. There is only one chance to change the book title, and caution must be exercised. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Runaway from Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Runaway from Home. Xuanyang turned inside the carriage and was startled to see 3 assassins lying horizontally inside. What is the situation? It's nothing, Peng Yu sat quietly with a haggard face on his face. Relying on the Qiankun ring to defeat 3 heavenly gang realm masters, he truly consumed a lot of energy. In Xuanyang's eyes, it was the 6th prince who was ambushed and frightened. The little boy quickly came over and said, "Are you okay? Let's go back to the palace right away." Upon hearing these words, Peng Yu came to his senses. No response. He forced himself to sit upright and glanced at the 3 people on the ground. After returning to the car, he kindly helped the 2 brothers return their heads. But this time, the 2 brothers had less intake and more output, indicating that their lives were not long. As for the old man chasing the moon, his heart is on the brink of damage and there is not much chance of survival. With a blink of his eye, Peng Yu's mind became aware and he weakly said, "I'm not in a big deal. Just now, after you went out, this old man suddenly crawled in through the window to kill me. But before he could get it done, 2 more assassins came in. The 3 of them got into a big fight when they met, and that's all. So, is this the result of the 3 of them fighting each other?" Xuanyang vaguely felt something was wrong and said, "Is it that simple?" Peng Yu stared into his pure and flawless big eyes. Paired with bright red circles, it looks like a frightened little white rabbit. What color is the fur of a little white rabbit? Pure white like snow. Does little white rabbit have any bad intentions? Of course not, the little white rabbit is as pure as its fur. Xuanyang didn't see any flaws in Peng Yu's acting skills, so he squatted down to investigate. Indeed, there were traces of each other's attacks visible on the chests of the 2 of them. As for the old man, he couldn't tell the extent of the injury. But all 3 of them are in the heavenly gang realm. 3 heavenly gang realms. Xuanyang was afraid for a moment. My coachman Lingguang is also in the heavenly gang realm. If the 3 of them had acted together just now, it might have been their own master and servant who had confessed. Your Highness, you are really lucky. Xuanyang speculated, their target should be me. Perhaps they saw you in the car and mistakenly thought you were me. Looking at his clothes alone, Peng Yu's imperial robe was even more magnificent than his own young master's robe. Perhaps these 3 thought their external selves were doubles, and the real Duke of the Marquis' mansion was inside the car, and then broke in to kill someone. And as a result, they attacked each other, leaving His Highness unscathed. Maybe. Peng Yu blinked his eyelashes and looked startled as if he had been reborn from a disaster. Well. Take a good look, what exactly are they? It should be an assassin on the road. It's okay, let my mother send someone to investigate after returning to the mansion. Zhuanyang wanted to say a few words of comfort, but he was not naturally a gentle and considerate character. His mind wandered for a while and he only managed to say, Your Highness, will you sleep for a while? You'll be at the Marquis' mansion in a while. At this moment, there was a sound of footsteps coming from outside. I am Zhang Bao, the guard of the lower Jin dynasty. May I ask if the third young master has ever been injured? Can he come out and see him? Hear the sound outside. Zhuanyang and Peng Yu both turned pale and looked at the unconscious three. Peng Yu thought of his leniency just now and did not directly silence him. If these people were captured by the Jin Wuwei outside and interrogated, would they expose themselves? Zhuanyang thought of these people attacking the sixth prince and saw his appearance. If I tell the Jin Wuwei that the sixth prince has left the palace, it will be my own misfortune. No, we can't let these people get out of the carriage alive. The same thought flashed through the minds of the two little boys. Peng Yu secretly extended his left hand, intending to activate the turbid and vigorous qi to isolate the heart qi and blood of the three. But Zhuanyang was even more agile in his actions. He wrapped his hands in his own clothes, grabbed one of the weapons, and gave each of the three hearts a beating, crushing their hearts. Pushi, blood shot fiercely, splashing onto their clothes. Peng Yu was surprised by Zhuanyang's ruthless actions. Silently bowing his head, concealing the guard in his eyes. Ah! It's so fishy, this aristocratic son is ruthless and not easy to bully. The smell of blood is so strong. For your running plan, please guide him later. No, the smell of blood is too strong, you must change clothes, and take action together. Your Highness, are you unable to stay in the car or? Before Zhuanyang could finish speaking, Peng Yu twisted his small body and had already crawled into the hidden compartment under his seat. Okay, this guy is even more clever than me. Yes, if it weren't for him hiding in the dark compartment of his own carriage, he wouldn't have been able to get out. Zhuanyang calmed his mood, took off his blood-stained coat, went out to deal with Jin Wuwei, and handed over the three corpses by chance. After a while, Jin Wuwei's troops left. Closed the car door and Zhuanyang beckons Peng Yu to come out. Looking up and down at Peng Yu, the boy solemnly said, Your Highness, this outfit is inconvenient. I have a spare set of regular clothes in the car for you to use temporarily and there were blood stains on it. No need. Peng Yu dug out a set of ordinary people's clothes from the Qiankun ring and changed them in front of Zhuanyang. Ha! The preparations are quite complete. Seeing the skinny boy, especially the faint black aura on his back, Zhuanyang's gaze was slightly moved. He personally took care of the sixth prince for a month, knowing better than anyone else. The sixth prince was indeed poisoned by a strange poison, and was even declared dead by the imperial physician. But 3 days ago, he suddenly came back to life as if nothing had happened, and even Tai Hospital was called a miracle. And Zhuanyang was even more aware that the poison had not been completely eliminated. Every night, while he was on the vigil outside, he could hear groans that seemed elusive inside. Presumably, he has to endure the agony of poison and heartbreak every night, but he cannot speak to others. He feels very suffocated in his heart, right? Zhuanyang's heart once again rose with sympathy. Before the sixth prince was poisoned, their relationship was very weak, and they couldn't even say a few words every day. However, when the sixth prince woke up, he may have trusted him very much due to his personal care, and even forcibly climbed into his own car, intending to sneak out of the palace. However, compared to the current one, I somewhat missed the former master, at least not causing any trouble. During Zhuanyang's contemplation, Peng Yu had already changed his clothes. Alright, you go home and report your safety, I'll go outside and take a look. No way, Zhuanyang immediately stopped. You come back with me, report to your mother, and send some guards to secretly accompany and protect you. Don't worry, I won't delay your play. I'll see you back to the palace in the afternoon. Peng Yu looked at Zhuanyang and sat down slowly. Zhuanyang, you may have misunderstood something. I once said I would borrow your carriage to leave the palace, and I also said I would visit Jinwu City. But I never said I would go back to the palace myself. What? Sorry, I didn't understand. Peng Yu remained silent and looked at Zhuanyang seriously. Zhuanyang's expression was first uncertain, then bewildered, and finally chilling. Where are you going if you don't go back to the palace? Are you crazy? If the prince doesn't return to the palace, isn't that seeking death? You forgot about the assassination just now. This is targeting me. If it were targeting you, it would only be more dangerous. Peng Yu's face was calm and he said slowly, it's mid-September now. I was poisoned during the Mid-Autumn Festival, and it's been a month. But where did the poison come from? There's no news so far. For me, the palace is not safe. Because at the beginning of the year, my mother's consort was gone. This is the intelligence collected by Peng Yu over the past 3 days. On the first day of the Lunar New Year this year, Zhao Guifei, the birth mother of the sixth prince, died suddenly. Not to mention the palace, the entire Great Kun Dynasty had a bad holiday. The noble consort was privately scolded as a broom star, and along with the sixth prince, she was despised by many people. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, the sixth prince fell ill, further confirming the rumors of their mother and son's misfortune. Peng Yu blushed under his eyes, tears rolling in his eyes. He kept recalling the movies and novels he had watched while on Earth, recalling sad plotlines in his mind. The boy's voice choked up and he said, "My mother has made many enemies in the heavenly palace. Without her protection, it would be difficult for me to live in the palace." Zhuanyang remained silent. In the past, Empress Zhao favored the harem and was granted the title of Empress Dowager. After 3 months of childlessness and no achievements, she was honored as Empress Dowager. Even the empress had to retreat from her position. Furthermore, Zhao Guifei's sixth prince can also be said to be extremely honored and favored. As soon as he was born, he was hailed by the emperor as his eldest son. How could this sentence embarrass the first 5 princes? Not to mention, after the full moon, the emperor directly gave the sixth prince a royal title and ordered someone to build the Zhaoyuan Hall. Showing virtue and shining brightly. Yuan, the head of all paths, the beginning of one Yuan. In the heart of the emperor, he truly regarded this child as his eldest son. The weight of the reward far exceeds that of the first 5 princes, even the crown prince of the central palace cannot compare to the generous gifts of the sixth prince. What impressed Zhuanyang the most was his job as the attendant of the sixth prince. This was not long after the birth of the sixth prince, and major aristocratic families began to compete. At the suggestion of consort Zhao, the emperor selected the 8 characters and selected suitable candidates from the boys born that year. Even a group of martyrs were specially trained to protect the sixth prince. Zhuanyang was recruited into the accompanying reading quota shortly after his birth. But after 3 years of investigation, it was directly ruled out. The reason is very simple. The sixth prince, who was 3 years old, passed by him and pointed at him with a disdainful expression, saying, "Don't see him." So, it was directly ruled out. From then on, even during the imperial celebration, the emperor did not allow Zhuanyang to enter the palace. At that time, the sixth prince He collided with a pregnant palace concubine, causing her to miscarry. The emperor turned around and said lightly, "The lowly maid, relying on her favor, was disrespectful to the prince and was executed with a staff." A concubine who had just miscarried was executed with a cane because of this incident. That is a woman who has been favored by the emperor recently. At that moment, the harem deeply understood the emperor's preference for the Zhao family's mother and son. And those aristocratic sons who were accompanying the sixth prince also received the emperor's care and continued to be promoted. Until last year, when the sixth prince was 11 years old, His Majesty suddenly despised the mother and son of consort Zhao. The original attendants and followers of the sixth prince were all executed with a cane, and their treatment plummeted. But with Zhao Guifei present, there is no need to worry about the safety of the sixth prince. Zhuanyang was suddenly summoned into the palace during that period and continued to serve as the prince's attendant. He still remembers that his mother had been crying when he entered the palace, afraid that he would be executed by the emperor's staff like the previous accompanying readers. Peng Yu forced himself to shed tears, intending to win sympathy. However, Zhuanyang was stunned and didn't take over at all. With a grit of his teeth, Peng Yu stood up again, pushed open the car door, and jumped down. Kunho! What are you doing? Zhuanyang regained his senses and quickly chased after him. He is not stupid. If his own father and Emperor Kunwen knew he had taken the sixth prince out of the palace and did not continue to follow and protect him, then his future fate would. Peng Yu stood outside the carriage, and the coachman Jiang Ling saw him with a puzzled expression. Fortunately, there were few people nearby, and no one noticed the dispute here. Zhuanyang summoned the coachman and pulled the carriage to a remote place, asking Peng Yu to board the carriage again. Your Highness, what exactly are you going to do? Peng Yu sorted out the clothes of the common people and said, it is natural for a person who is a son to mourn his mother, who has passed away half a year ago. Then go to the Lotus Palace or Puhua Temple in Jinwu City, Zhuanyang hurriedly said. I will take you now to pray for the blessings of the underworld for the Empress. Peng Yu remained silent and looked straight at Zhuanyang. The boy looked at himself with a complex gaze when he saw a boy of similar age, and his heart felt a little furry. I'll declare first that you can only operate in Jinwu City, don't think about leaving Jinwu City. The prince's secretly sneaking to Jinwu City is not an exception for the sixth prince, it can even be said to be a tradition. After all, Jinwu City is located at the foot of the imperial city, guarded by many great supernatural beings, and it is impossible for anything to happen. Oh, that was an exception just now. But leaving the boundaries of Jinwu City has a completely different meaning. The prince's white dragon fish costume poses a sharp increase in danger. Zhuanyang saw Peng Yu's expression, and the little boy's mind vaguely thought of a possibility. No, it must be me thinking too much. Should he just plan to wander around Jinwu City or visit his uncle's house for refuge? To express to your Majesty that the palace is unsafe. Yes, this is a son spoiling his father. With the grace of the sixth prince over the past 10 years, His Majesty must have softened his heart. At that time, the treatment of the Zhaoyuan Palace will increase accordingly. However, I'm going to Wuhua Palace. Zhuanyang instinctively pushed back and said, no, you don't want to. I think so. You don't want to. Zhuanyang said irritably, how could you possibly go to the Wuhua Palace? In his heart, Zhuanyang despised his intelligence and complained incessantly. I knew this guy was planning to go there. I am filial to my mother. Isn't it reasonable for me to go to the Wuhua Palace? Wuhua Palace is a timeless auspicious place chosen by the emperor for himself. Zhao Guifei was buried in the underground palace before March. Impossible. Wuhua Palace is 30,000 miles away from Jinwu City, and it also has to travel through 3 counties and states. Are you planning to go alone? That's right. Peng Yu put on a calm expression and spread his hand, saying, we agreed at the beginning that you would take me out, and you wouldn't have to worry about the rest. Of course, I'll go alone. If I really let you go to the Wuhua Palace alone, my body will be hanging on the imperial gate tomorrow for a breeze. But Zhuanyang still didn't believe in evil and had one last expectation for Peng Yu. Since your highness has a plan to leave the palace and go to Wuhua Palace to guard filial piety for his mother's consort, he must have contacted the Zhao family beforehand. Yes, since he can come up with a plan to force himself to take him out of the palace, then there must be follow-up preparations, right? After all, he is also the son of the emperor, so he must be meticulous in his work. No, Peng Yu looked at Xuanyang with an idiot-like expression. If I had told others beforehand, I would have gone to the Wuhua Palace myself. Do you think they would have helped, or would they have gone to the imperial court to expose it as soon as possible? Moreover, I have only been here for 3 days and have never seen the children of the Zhao family. Xuanyang smiled bitterly and said, normal people wouldn't let you run to the Wuhua Palace alone. A 12-year-old child suddenly had a whim to leave the palace, and the Zhao family could not bear this responsibility. Xuanyang thought for a moment, but still didn't give up. Your Majesty has been favored for decades, and there must be many subordinates who died. Do you have a way to contact them and protect you all the way? Peng Yu shook his head. He has only been traveling for 3 days now. If he hadn't realized that his identity was about to be exposed, he would have run away immediately so that he wouldn't have acted so hastily. That's right, he learned something in the heavenly palace. The 6th prince has recovered from his illness, and the emperor intends to have the imperial hospital conduct a comprehensive physical examination of the 6th prince, without leaving any medical records. In the comprehensive examination, there is a soul test. Peng Yu took away the body of the 6th prince, in case it were exposed at that time. It was not a privileged treatment for a prince, but rather being demoted to heaven, tortured by countless poisonous fires, and subjected to severe torture to extract confessions. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Although I refuse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Although I refuse, so Peng Yu must escape from the heavenly palace to avoid soul examination. Wait until you find the other 10 commandments of the Qiankun world and have enough self-protection before considering the others. That's right, his profession has another purpose. Search for the 3rd of the 10 precepts of heaven and earth. As a descendant of the Qiankun sect, the 6th prince is also searching for the whereabouts of the Qiankun ring, and he already has his eyebrows and eyes. Peng Yu collected intelligence for 3 days and found clues in this area. This time I ran out just for the 3rd ring. How could a person who is unfamiliar with their place and has only traveled for 3 days without any memory of the original owner be alone on the road? So, Peng Yu looked at Xuanyang with a pitiful expression. Xuanyang, I am very grateful to you. Thank you for taking care of me during this period. Don't worry, I definitely won't drag you down. I wrote a letter to my father in advance, saying that this was my own idea and has nothing to do with you. Father, Emperor Xingming, I will definitely not blame you. Xuanyang's hand itched and he wanted to hit someone. If I knock him out early and bring him back to the heavenly palace, will the punishment from the emperor be lighter? When I walk barefoot to the Wuhua palace, disheveled, my father will definitely not blame you. Xuanyang took a deep breath and tried to restrain himself. Calm down, don't be angry. Anger is not good, anger is a demon god. Even if I die outside and my body is taken away by a wild dog, father will not blame the Marquis of Yunyang's family. Xuanyang's gaze was cold and sharp, staring at Peng Yu intently. Don't blame me. How are you playing with me? If you have one, at least the first one to be buried with me, and the second one is our Yunyang Marquis' mansion. For people like Xuanyang who have been educated by aristocratic families since childhood, their own lives do not matter, but the family always comes first. Xuanyang tried hard to suppress his anger and questioned in a deep voice. So, did you expect me to help you go to Wuhua Palace from the beginning? Peng Yu looked at Xuanyang. Although bullying a child is a bit excessive. But my current body is smaller than Xuanyang's, so bullying my older brother, who is 3 months older than me, is not excessive, is it? So Peng Yu nodded with peace of mind. Xuanyang. Your Highness, do you know how old you are? 12. How old am I? 12. So, a 12-year-old child ran away from home, hoping that another 12-year-old child would help him traverse the 3 counties. Zhuanyang spoke high, "Are you crazy, or am I crazy? 2 children, are we going out of Jinwu City to seek death? But you are so smart, so wise. You have high martial arts skills and can be considered both civil and military." Peng Yu said pitifully, "The palace is not safe, I can only trust you now." Eye angle, perfect. Speaking tone, perfect. The gestures and movements are also perfect. With the adult soul inside the child's body, Peng Yu perfectly showcases the skills of an actor. He pinched his sleeve with his small hand and vividly portrayed the mentality of a prince in the deep palace who was anxious and could only grab the last straw to save his life. "I believe that if there is someone in the world who can take me to the Wuhua Palace, then that person must be you. The saying goes, if you wear 1,000, wear 10,000, if you don't wear flattery, don't wear it. Those adults can't bear it, let alone a child." Peng Yu's various beautiful words made Zhuanyang drift and say, they are all true. These are all words from the heart of the 6th prince. Indeed, I am both intelligent and brave, and my martial arts skills are superb. I am also proficient in strategic and military literature. Unexpectedly, he looks cold and aloof on weekdays, but he has such a high evaluation of me. But, I refuse. Hey! Upon hearing Zhuanyang's indifferent tone, Peng Yu was taken aback. "Refuse, are you really not afraid of death? Do you dare to let me go alone?" Peng Yu muttered to himself. With Zhuanyang's intelligence, it was impossible to imagine the seriousness of this matter. Is it because he is still a child and lacks thoughtful thinking? I didn't expect the consequences. Can't it be that my acting skills have declined? Impossible. How could my acting skills not even handle a child? Just as Peng Yu was spinning his mind, he heard Zhuanyang shout, "Get on the car." Hey! Zhuanyang looked at the boy who was thinner than himself and looked disgusted. "I refuse to take you to the Wuhua Palace, but I want to visit the old immortal at Tiandang Mountain. So, if anyone steals into my carriage on the way, I am completely unaware." Tiandang Mountain. Isn't that the Ling Shan behind the Wuhua Palace, which is His Majesty's eternal blessed land? Peng Yu suddenly realized. "I've agreed, I'll only take you to Tiandang Mountain, and everything else has nothing to do with me." "Aha, I understand, I understand." Peng Yu claims to be an adult and shows understanding and tolerance towards the little boy's arrogance. Upon seeing this scene, the coachman Jiangling couldn't help but advise, "Young master, don't act recklessly. Let's go home and report to Madam. Otherwise, we can work together to capture His Highness back." Zhuanyang suddenly looked back and shouted, "Ling Guang, remember. You are my person, and my orders come first." Zhuanyang was not polite to his own coachman, obviously transferring all the pressure that the 6th prince had on him. "Don't say it." After cursing, I felt much more comfortable. Jiangling looked at Peng Yu, then at Zhuanyang, and could only accept orders to drive away. Inside the car, Peng Yu tugged at Zhuanyang and muttered to the outside, "How is he?" Zhuanyang was at a loss for a moment before he understood Peng Yu's meaning. He whispered, "He flew up from the Circle Light realm attached to my family and can be considered my legitimate lineage. Don't worry, his wife and children are all in my family's attached world, and his loyalty is guaranteed. The Great Kun Dynasty is not a simple dynasty of cultivation. If compared to the novels that Peng Yu read, it is the immortal realm and the divine realm, which are the endpoints of the soaring world of the heavens. Here, the territories conferred upon princes by the divine dynasty are small worlds. Zhuanyang comes from the Marquis' mansion of Yunyang and is a branch of the ancient Chuansuan family. They have a fiefdom called the Circle of Light, with a population of 30 million. This place is rich in Xuanguang Yuanjing, which is the superior material for refining weapons. Jiangling was originally a top powerhouse in the Circle of Light. After ascending from the Circle of Light, he joined the Marquis of Yunyang and was given the name Lingguang. But after his ascension, he was just an ordinary staff member in the Marquis' mansion of Yunyang, arranged to be a close bodyguard by Xuanyang's side. Is he soaring in the heavenly gang realm or the divine power realm? If it were a martial arts master who had refined divine powers, would my lord let him be by my side? Peng Yu remained silent. During the reign of Emperor Kun, there were 6 heavenly realms for cultivation, and the experts in the heavenly gang realm were only of the 3rd rank. The true supporters of the imperial court are the 300 divine realm masters in the war god temple, along with several martial saints, as well as the divine emperor Kunli sitting on the supreme throne. However, Jiangling is a master in the heavenly gang realm and can handle it on his own. Peng Yu felt a little relieved. As long as Qian Sanjie is in hand, he will automatically possess the power of the heavenly gang realm level. How do we go next? According to my plan, the carriage should be thrown away, and it's best to kill the Tianma to prevent the possibility of outsiders tracking. Get my carriage. No way. Xuanyang objected on the spot. I'm a heavenly horse, a type of winged horse. Do you know how difficult it is to handle? This is the birthday gift he obtained after grinding his own father for 2 years. But don't you think it's too eye-catching? Peng Yu looked at the exquisite and comfortable flying carriage and said, your carriage is adorned with Xuan Sun patterned brochures everywhere. If we run out of Jinwu City, you won't be afraid of exposing our identity with this thing. Do you still know it will be exposed? Xuanyang glanced at him and said, why don't we go back now? The little boy grinned and gave Xuanyang a brilliant smile. Xuanyang was taken aback and a bit dazed. How could the 6th prince laugh? This is a big news from the heavenly palace. Since his birth, the 6th prince has been solitary and reserved, rarely communicating with outsiders, like a puppet. Xuanyang had been in the palace for several months and had never seen the 6th prince show his face and laugh. Is it possible that this guy has been suppressed in the palace for too long and has mental problems? Speaking of which, after leaving the palace, he no longer held the prince's identity in his words. And the pitiful appearance just now. Xuanyang stared at Peng Yu. Although Peng Yu changed into an ordinary piece of clothing, it was difficult to conceal the boy's excellent appearance. A fair and tender face paired with red circles under the eyes. Like a little rabbit. Bang, Peng Yu knocked hard on Xuanyang's forehead and said, I'm asking you a question. What? Xuanyang regained his composure and said, anyway, it's impossible to attack my heavenly horse. I'm in it. Then pawn it or temporarily sell it. It's not possible either. Let's go home first, I'll change to another car. Xuanyang paused and took the initiative to veto, I can't go home. The 6th prince is a big trouble, a disaster star. Bringing it home will definitely bring harm to the Marquis' mansion. So, let's go straight out of the city. In this way, we'll leave the teleportation array. As for my heavenly horse. Xuanyang hesitated for a moment and said, register it. Lingguang, you can send the carriage to register it. We'll wait for you in the teleportation array. Speaking, Xuanyang pulled Peng Yu out of the car. Their current location is not far from the teleportation array, and they can walk over just in time. After getting off the car, Peng Yu curiously looked at the streets of Jinwu City. The streets of Jinwu City are very spacious, with roads for 10 carriages running in parallel crisscrossing tall buildings. Those buildings are not concrete buildings on Earth, but more similar to the layout of water pavilions and terraces. 100-story tower, connected to each other by golden cloud paths. On both sides of the street, you can still see pillars carved with phoenix birds. The transmission of light energy between pillars not only provides energy, but also serves as a defensive technique. Your Highness has landed on Earth for the first time, you can take a look. But don't wander around, especially underground, never go. Even if it is a capital city, there is inevitably darkness behind its glamour. Peng Yu looked at the dark and deep underground cave below and nodded, I know. It is said that Jinwu City was built on top of a fire cave, and there is a lava demon god underground. It's not just a demon god. Zhuanyang was discussing in his heart. But since the sixth prince has a simple mind, why bother poking his imagination of a bustling city? Take advantage of the existing manuscript. 2 chapters are tentatively updated daily, one at 9 p.m. and one at 20 p.m. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Celebrating the Boiling Harem. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Celebrating the Boiling Harem. The two walked to the Zhuguang Square where the teleportation array was located. Peng Yu's right ring finger lightly twitched, and the ring sensed. Sure enough, the teleportation array is related to the Qiankun sect. 7 10-meter obelisks are erected around this square. There are streams of light flowing between them, gathering purple air masses, which is the core of the teleportation array. Are there 7 yin-yang inverted divine steels? In his ring, there is a 2-realm teleportation array constructed of 11 divine tablets. It was through this great formation that he crossed here. Peng Yu clenched his small hand and said, "Once I find the 10 precepts and repair the teleportation array, I can go back." Compared to being in the body of this stranger, returning to Earth and returning to his own body is the most desired choice for Peng Yu. Be a handsome guy and run into a child's body. Although this child is also very good looking, his original appearance is more pleasing to the eye. Besides, my 2 elders are still here, why do we have to recognize a father and a mother who has already passed away? The 2 of them waited for Jiangling to return and hid in a secluded corner. Peng Yu was worried that Jiangling would bring people to catch him. Looking around, I found a way to escape. If these masters and servants want to trick themselves later, they will just slip away. What are you afraid of when the Kun 4 precepts move in an instant? If it's a big deal, go underground and hide. By the way, your highness is leaving the palace. What did you say in your letter? It's nothing, just suggest that I go to the Wuhua palace and then let. Peng Yu paused and said vaguely, let. Pack the people from the Zhaoyuan palace and send them over. After all, only 3 days of travel, calling someone a father for nothing, or not getting used to it. Sure enough, Zhuanyang sighed. He sat on the ground, holding branches and painting murals on the ground, murmuring to himself. First teleport to Shigu County, then turn to Baichun County, and walk from the east towards Baihe County. Upon hearing this, Peng Yu couldn't help but interject, wait a minute, aren't we going to the Wuhua Palace? We should be heading north. Zhuanyang glanced at him. Your Highness, could you please understand your situation? You are out of the palace now. You should know, taking him to Wuhua Palace, how much risk did you take? If it weren't for a momentary mistake, why go through this journey? Peng Yu looked confused, obviously not yet aware of his situation. Perhaps for you, your life over the past 11 years is just right. But you have no idea how much your brothers really hate you. If it weren't for a few old ministers sacrificing their lives to blackmail us back then, we might have had to replace people in the Eastern Palace today. Who dared to provoke Zhao Guifei and the sixth prince at that time? Now that the Empress Dowager has passed away, the sixth prince has lost his mother's protection and been neglected by his father. He has also foolishly run out of the palace. If he doesn't seize the opportunity, his brothers will voluntarily hang themselves one by one. Thinking of those impending assassins made Zhuanyang's scalp tingle. A voice told him that the most correct choice was to bring the sixth prince back to the palace when Jiangling returned. Although you may be punished, it won't be too dangerous. But another voice, or rather, seeing the pitiful and weak appearance of the sixth prince just now, made Zhuanyang's heroic spirit surge in his chest. He couldn't protect himself in the palace, and sending him to the Wuhua Palace was indeed a way out. Between the swaying sounds, Zhuanyang chose the second one. Nowadays, he knows that the road ahead is dangerous and bumpy. But I can only constantly comfort myself. The sixth prince's visit to the Wuhua Palace can bring guilt to the emperor. I, the Marquis of Yunyang, can also seize the opportunity to win the favor of the emperor and reap benefits. Of course, all of these prerequisites are that the two of them can live smoothly to the Wuhua palace. The sixth prince left a letter to the emperor. Although the emperor ordered people to block the news, it still secretly spread throughout the entire harem. In an instant, the people in the harem were boiling. Chen Fei broke through the barrier and stopped practicing the old Changchun technique. She immediately called her confidant and said, "Hurry up and find a way to spread the news to the palace, so that my father can prepare early. Kill him. Hurt his bones and raise ashes. I want him to die clean and avenge my son. Lu Fei, she is taking pills to stop her appearance." Suddenly, he threw the pill in his hand. The sixth man went out of the palace without permission. He wants to go to the Wuhua palace. Well, let's send someone to intercept him. Ah, yes, we should add more tonic diet at night. Today, our palace has a good appetite. The Empress of Concubine Dong, who applied jade cream to keep her face healthy, pulled off the facial mask and said, "Aha. Ha ha. Sister, it seems that your son has not inherited your wisdom at all. The son of 1,000 gold cannot sit down and do not understand such a simple truth. Come on, since her son is so filial, we will send them to reunite. By the way, take out the pot of Millennium Agar in the warehouse, and we will celebrate." Li Fei, who was practicing Taoist immortality, broke through the barrier and ordered, "Let the emperor summon the people of our 9 Xuanzong and kill Lao Lu directly. Remember, erase all traces and don't let anyone notice." Upon hearing this news, Empress Yi, who claimed to not be willing to harm even an ant, suddenly shed tears and said, "Sister left early, and now old Six is also going with her. As a younger sister, I can only spend more money to add another 30% to old Six's reward. Let's send them back together as soon as possible." Even when the news came, the seriously ill Empress suddenly became energetic, radiant, pulled off her headband, and greeted the maid with ecstasy, saying, "Quickly, go and inform the crown prince. No, forget it, this killing of brothers should not make his hands dirty. I will come here myself. Madam, this will be known by your majesty. So, we can't use our people." The empress looked at the Cheong palace with thick red walls and blue tiles in the distance, and regained some composure. These foolish girls will definitely greet the family or find their sect. But how can this palace let the creation sect get involved in this kind of thing? Our creation sect is a large and top-level immortal sect in ancient times. These dirty things. Go. Pass on a message to the demon sect, saying that old Six inherits the Kunwa divine vein and is deeply loved by his majesty. This trip, let the demon sect take action. Also, say hello to the remnants of the dragon palace. Aren't they capable of poisoning? Tell them that old Six is favored by his majesty the most. They have a blood feud with his majesty, so they naturally understand how to do it. After thinking for a moment, the queen dragged her sick body to seek forgiveness from the emperor. After all, in name, she is the legitimate mother. The sixth prince's departure from the palace was due to her poor care, so it is necessary to prepare in advance and clear the responsibility. But when she found the emperor, he was dealing with the people around the sixth prince in the Zhaoyuan palace. Each person receives 30 boards. Then drag those who have ulterior motives down and smash them to death with golden melons. Beside the sixth prince were scouts from other palace concubines. The emperor was not unaware of this. He had originally intended to observe the changes in silence, but to his surprise, Peng Yu reacted fiercely and immediately ran out of the palace, leaving only a letter behind. The letter stated that she was not safe, and coupled with her mother's eagerness, she wanted to go to the Wuhua palace to observe filial piety for consort Zhao. As for how to handle the subsequent matters, it all depends on the attitude of the emperor. Of course, Peng Yu was an ordinary person who traveled across the earth, not a ruthless person. At the end of the letter, it was specifically written that the place of life in Wuhua Palace is not familiar, and it would be even better if some old people could be sent over. In other words, the specific handling of the people in the Zhaoyuan Hall depends entirely on the judgment of the emperor. If there is a problem, just kill it. If there's no problem, spare your life for now and send it to the Wuhua Palace. The emperor sent out a group of people and looked at the empress who walked in. Aren't you sick? How did you come here? The empress bowed and said, Yesterday your majesty ordered my concubine to take care of Gu Hauer. But today he left the palace without permission and violated the palace rules. But all of this is due to my poor supervision. Please punish my concubine, your majesty, and do not vent your anger on this poor child who has lost his birth mother. The emperor's eyes flashed with a fierce expression, and his tone softened slightly. You have a compassionate mother's heart. Yes, Lao Lu mourned his deceased mother and went to the Wuhua Palace without permission. Although there was a mistake, his feelings are pitiable. Since you speak up, let's give up now. The empress was taken aback and decided to avoid it. You're a dad, can't your heart be so biased? What worries me now is whether this kid can safely go to the Wuhua Palace, the emperor said slowly. Since you love him so much, then you and the creation sect will protect him along the way. Hey! The empress hesitated, and the god emperor said to himself, I heard that your sister's cultivation has been successful, and she has become a land god. Your sister's has not seen her for many years, let her go to the palace. The queen said respectfully, Thank you for your grace to reunite my sisters. After the emperor left, Feng Yu flashed through waves of killing intent. Sure enough, in this guy's heart, only the son of Zhao Slut is the son. In your eyes, the legitimate son of this palace is worthless. Such a wicked person who leaves the palace without permission and disregards the rules of heaven will ultimately have to be fully protected by this palace. Zhao Bitch deserves to die, and her son deserves to die too. But the empress knew that with the emperor's castle, it was impossible to deceive him into killing anyone. On the contrary, he must also send people from the creation sect to save the sixth prince with integrity and brightness. And the emperor's threat is very clear. If one does not devote oneself wholeheartedly and passes away in the palace, naturally one's own sister will continue to form an alliance with the creation sect. At the end of the day, in the eyes of the emperor, I am just an optional marriage bond. The heavenly empress, who was well versed in the heavens and skilled in creation, was worthless in his heart. Empress. My confidant walked up and said, Do we still have to? Your Majesty has made it very clear to let the creation sect protect along the way. As for the rest, it depends on whether the demon sect and the dragon palace can succeed. The emperor has made many enemies outside, and now the most beloved emperor leaves the palace and lands on the earth, which is enough to stir up the world. Tian bit her vermilion lips lightly and said, Let the creation sect appoint some people and show that we are doing our best. Don't let him make mistakes. I don't believe it in this palace. That villain has died. He really dares to take action to destroy this palace. The emperor returned to the Xuanda Hall, and Sun Jing came to report. Your Majesty, we followed the carriage of the Marquis of Yunyang and arrested 18 people. 10 of them were scattered cultivators on the road, while the other 8 were the Demon Palace, the remnants of the Dragon Clan, and several out-of-town sections. The emperor stared at Sun Jing without saying a word. Sun Jing didn't know why, so he secretly looked at Li Gonggang on the side. Li Gonggang cast a sympathetic look, Please seek your own blessings. Sun Jing, you followed the carriage of Marquis Yunyang's mansion and didn't notice anyone else on the carriage. Others. Sun Jing was bewildered. They didn't check the carriage of the Marquis of Yunyang's mansion. According to the plan, isn't it fishing to catch people? Yunyang Marquis, the third young master, will return safely and be fine. The emperor signaled to Duke Li. Li Gonggang took the letter left by Peng Yu to Sun Jing. Sun Jing's eyes widened as he saw the letter, and in the end, he suddenly realized. Your Highness 6 is on the carriage of the Marquis of Yunyang's mansion. Suddenly, He was scared and broke into a cold sweat. I was guilty, but I didn't notice for a moment and forgot to escort the carriage back to the Marquis's mansion. In his heart, Sun Jing regretted it endlessly. If you send the carriage back to the Marquis's mansion, you will notice the sixth prince on the carriage. Give you a chance to make a name for yourself and bring back Lao Lu within 3 days. Otherwise, I apologize with death. After bowing, Sun Jing hurriedly went back to call for help and asked the sixth prince to return to the palace. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Clues to the Third Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Clues to the Third Ring. Zhuguang Square. Peng Yu leaned against a big tree and tilted his head to watch Xuanyang drawing on the ground. From time to time, Xuanyang scratched his head and pondered over the map of the Kun he saw at home. The Great Kun Dynasty had a vast territory, with the exception of 800 affiliated Great Thousand Worlds, and its territory was divided into 33 counties. These counties and states, based on their geography, politics, and military, guard the 4 sides of Jinwu City. Peng Yu touched his chin and observed the boy's behavior. It has to be said that it is indeed right to forcefully pull Xuanyang onto the ship. If it weren't for Xuanyang, with the vigilance of the Great Kun Divine Dynasty, I might have been caught as soon as I left Jinwu City. Then he discovered that he had taken possession of it, and his soul was shattered. Watching Xuanyang ponder, Peng Yu couldn't help but ask, there are Qiankun movement arrays in major prefectures. Can't we go through the teleportation array? Xuanyang glanced at Peng Yu and sighed in his heart. It was the nobleman in the palace who had no understanding of human affairs. Faced with Peng Yu's naive gaze, I still explained honestly. There are 30.3 Qiankun teleportation arrays in the Divine Dynasty, which are remnants of the ancient Qiankun sect. Although we have repaired the arrays to ensure their normal operation, we cannot precisely control each array. A teleportation array can only resonate with nearby county teleportation arrays for teleportation. Jinwu City is within the first perimeter and can teleport 4 prefectures: Yushu, Bei's, Hongshan, and Shigu. The teleportation arrays of Yushu, Hongshan, and other 4 counties are only connected to the other 3 counties' prefectures except for Jinwu City, and cannot directly reach the second perimeter. The 33 counties of Dakuan, except for the county where Jinwu City is located, the other 32 counties are called the 8 enclosures. The 4 counties form a circle and belong to the same social circle. How troublesome. Who came up with such a tedious program? The teleportation array cannot be teleported casually, why do we create it? Just to show the nobility of the people around him, Xuanyang glanced at him lightly. This is a rule set by your grandfather during the reign of the late emperor. 33 counties are surrounded by 8 walls, and the higher you go, the higher your status becomes. Especially the people of Jinwu City, their eyes are raised to the sky, even looking down on the 4 major prefectures in the first circle. And the 4 counties of Yushu, Hongshan, Bei's, and Shigu in the first circle also look down on the county government in the second circle. The county government in the second round looks down on the third round. As for the 4 border counties in the 8th circle, they are mud goods that everyone can step on. The teleportation array is only used for communication among the 4 counties within the same perimeter. Tiandang Mountain is located at the border of Longyin County and Sangshuan County, which is the difference between Shanyang and Shanin. However, there is only one entrance to Wuhua Palace, which is the Luomen Pass within Longyin County. The Wuhua Palace is a timeless auspicious place selected by the emperor, and outsiders are prohibited from approaching. We also specially dispatched the First Route Army to guard Luomen Pass. Without a guide and permission from Luomen Pass, they have no choice but to go to Tiandang Mountain. Let's go to Tiandang Mountain. There are 2 biggest troubles. One is Longyin County Mansion. As long as we teleport there, it will inevitably lead to assassination. Secondly, General Nangong from Luomen Pass is your Majesty's confidant and will definitely not allow you or me to pass. If we go to Luomen Pass, we will definitely be caught back. Speaking of which, Zhuanyang was very irritable. As long as the news of the sixth prince spreads, the power of several princes must be fixed on Luomen Pass and Longyin County Mansion. So, what about leaving from Tianhua Pass? You're sick. The Tianhua Pass is in the border county. And it's at the southernmost end. Zhuanyang was taken aback and suddenly realized that it was the sixth prince who asked him. He coughed lightly and said, "Why did your highness go to Tianhua Pass?" Young master, Jiangling rushed back at this moment and saw that there were no pursuers behind him. Peng Yu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Zhuanyang asked again, but before Peng Yu could answer, Jiangling took the lead and said, "Young master, have you forgotten? Second young master is now at Tianhua Pass. Second brother." Zhuanyang's expression moved. Although their brothers were not born to the same mother, the three brothers had always had a deep affection. If we go find second brother, but bring the big trouble of sixth prince over, wouldn't it be too good? Okay, I won't have to explain it myself. Peng Yu relied on the big tree and allowed Zhuanyang's brain to nourish him. In fact, his purpose of going to Bianjuan Tianhua Pass is very simple. Peng Yu did not have any memory of the original sixth prince. But he obtained a diary of the sixth prince and scattered clues left by the sixth prince. At the Hengshan Millennium Tomb at Tianhua Pass, there is the Qiankun ring that one is looking for. Finding the ring is the key. After careful consideration, Zhuanyang agreed with Peng Yu's suggestion. Let's go to Tianhua Pass and ask second brother for help. If I were the assassin chasing the sixth prince, I will definitely choose to guard at Luomen Pass and Longyin County. As long as you control these two places, you will definitely be able to find the sixth prince. For the current plan, we can only rely on our second brother to see if we can utilize our relationship in the army and find a way out of Luomen Pass. After all, the most troublesome point is still the Southern Palace General at Luomen Pass. But let me first declare that this matter cannot involve my second brother. Just say I'm your book boy and we'll go to Tiandang Mountain to visit the old immortal together, Peng Yu said with a smile. As for how you explained to your brother, you suddenly left the palace. That's your business. After seeing him leave the palace, he became even more self-indulgent. The once aloof sixth prince had no image to speak of. Zhuanyang gritted his teeth and said, "So, please be honest. Don't cause trouble for my family." After speaking, he looked at Jiangling. Jiangling nodded slightly, but shook his head again. No signal left. Is it still too late to find manpower? Zhuanyang frowned secretly and beckoned them to go to the teleportation array together. Lingguang, have you seen the merchants over there? You go there and knock them unconscious, let's use their teleportation orders to lure them out. After a pause, Zhuanyang added, leave some money for them, and then give them my token. Remember, if you hurt them, it's important to look at them from the outside, but the damage inside is not significant. In this way, we will investigate them later, but due to our own token and the injuries of these merchants, we should not be able to implicate them. Peng Yu stood on the side, satisfied with Zhuanyang's handling. Although this aristocratic son may be a bit arrogant, he has a good heart and knows how to protect ordinary people. After some twists and turns, the three of them took the merchant's teleportation order and entered the teleportation array. At the moment of entering the teleportation array, Peng Yu's right-hand ring jumped as if resonating with this teleportation array. Waves of Qiankun Dao power surged from all directions, strengthening the overall inner true qi. These 3 days, Peng Yu tried to practice the Qiankun immortal technique and absorb the true qi of Qiankun. But due to the poisoning of the sixth prince, the effect was not significant. But now a massive and majestic force of the Qiankun Dao is surging in, and the power of the same origin has driven Peng Yu's true qi to double and increase. After Zhuanyang and his companions entered, Jiangling whispered to Zhuanyang, I only had time to leave a few marks and explanations in the carriage. But when it comes to His Highness's whereabouts, I dare not leave any incense. Well done. If we really want to leave a fragrance, we'll expose their tracks. Don't let your family not find you, let the assassin catch up first. Suddenly, he noticed an astonishing aura emanating from the sixth prince. Wow! Peng Yu's face turned blue and he spat out black blood from his mouth. Xuanyang was shocked in his heart. He almost forgot that this guy was still a sick patient. Take him to Wuhua Palace now, in case the assassin doesn't arrive, he will die of illness. What should we do then? Suddenly, he thought of what he had discussed with several imperial physicians the day before yesterday. The sixth prince woke up the day before yesterday with blood problems on his body. In addition to being panicked, several imperial physicians dared not directly report to the emperor and planned to take covert action to help the sixth prince treat his illness. I remember Dr. Wang seemed to be planning to leave Jinwu City and search for a prescription outside. So just as Peng Yu abducted him onto the ship, Xuanyang was also considering whether to bring a few imperial physicians along on the road to prevent the sudden death of the sixth prince on the way. Stepping forward to support Peng Yu, Xuanyang Guan asked eagerly, "How about it? Can you still leave? Lingguang, carry him on your back." "No need," Peng Yu spat out black blood and his complexion improved slightly. That mouthful of blood happened to drive out the remaining poison in the body. "I can go. Not only can I walk, but I have gained Taoist power in this Qiankun formation, and my true energy has tripled out of thin air. There are still a lot of difficult to digest Qiankun Dao power stored in the eyebrow soul platform." When the three were preparing to leave, the people behind walked into the teleportation space. The ancient formation of Emperor Qiankun is very mysterious. After entering the teleportation array, there is an independent heaven and earth with 4 gates corresponding to the 4 counties of Beis, Yushu, Shigu, and Hongshan. "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you vomiting here? It's so dirty." The skinny old man came over with a medicine bag on his back, looking at the pool of black blood on the ground. He was surprised. Blood abyss dragon poison. Isn't this the poison among His Highness 6? How is it here? Look at the 3 people ahead again. Although Peng Yu and Xuanyang have disguised themselves, the 2 12-year-old boys have the biggest weakness in their physique. The little old man rubbed his eyes and stared at the 2 of them. The old man's eyes are dazzled. Why are these 2 children so much like the 2 kids in the palace? Dizziness, I'm sure I have it. But the familiar black blood on the ground was almost the same as the poisonous blood vomited by His Highness 6 the day before yesterday. And that poisonous blood evaporates in the air without saying a word. Dr. Wang took out a jade bottle and collected the poisonous blood, saying in horror, How did you 2 leave the palace? Also, what are you doing with the teleportation array?" End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Escape Team 4th Person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Escape Team 4th Person. Wang Tai was one of the people that Peng Yu met after crossing the country. Peng Yu was about to speak when Xuanyang rushed forward and grabbed Dr. Wang directly. "Blessed by our ancestors, you have come at the right time. I was worried about where to find you, but you ended up falling into the trap. Perhaps this is the Yin spirit protection of the Empress Dowager." He grabbed Dr. Wang and called for Jiangling to pick up Peng Yu. Everyone rushed into the teleportation array of Beis County in a panic. "Wait for me to breathe in real gas for a while longer." Peng Yu originally wanted to struggle, but how could a 12-year-old boy break free from the physical strength of the heavenly gang master? "I can only obediently follow Jiangling into the portal." Not long after the 4 of them left, Sun Zheng and his men rushed to isolate the teleportation array and reviewed the teleportation records. Quickly, the envoys locked onto Shirazawa County. "Quick, Your Highness 6 has already gone to Beis County, let's chase after him." Beis County is named after a mythical beast called Beis. According to legend, the first Emperor Kunwu toured this place, and there was a white Zay mythical beast carrying the world's spirits and monsters to congratulate him, helping the emperor drive out the demon race and suppress ghosts and gods. The divine beast disappeared without a trace later, but the emperor was grateful for its virtue and specifically named the eastern county of the first encirclement Shirazawa. Peng Yu and his 4 companions emerged from the teleportation array, and Zhuanyang's horse kept moving, immediately preparing to purchase new carriages and horses. A group of 4, along with 1 patient and an elderly person, were unable to ride horses and could only ride carriages. Lingguang, hurry up and buy a large dot-sized carriage. You need to bring your own Qiankun space, at worst 3 rooms. Young master. The middle-aged man looked embarrassed and said, we didn't bring much money when we came out. Zhuanyang's face paused as he remembered his original purpose. Yes, I was originally going home to visit my mother, but I didn't bring much money when I left the palace. God knows, I'm running away from home. Zhuanyang looked at Wang Tai and said, Wang Lao, you came out of the palace for that matter. You must have brought money, right? Because the patient, Prince 6, was nearby, he spoke vaguely. Wang Tai was still immersed in the explosive news of the 6th prince and 3rd prince leaving the palace without permission, and has not regained his senses to this day. It wasn't until Zhuanyang asked for the 3rd time that he realized it. The old man did indeed book a carriage at the carriage shop, but that carriage was a bit small. He plans to go to the Medicine Mountain in Bays County on his own to search for spiritual medicine and remedy the bloodline problem for the 6th prince. So, the carriage was very small, not to mention any built at in space. Upon hearing this, Peng Yu injected a strand of Qiankun true qi into Qian Sanjie's left hand and pulled out a box of golden melon seeds. Are these enough? Zhuanyang foolishly asked, Your Highness knows to bring money when he leaves the palace. But then he regretted it. The 6th prince must have had a premeditation before leaving the palace. How could he not have prepared the money? After counting in Jiangling, he frowned as he looked at the golden melon seeds and said, Your Highness, these are all used by the heavenly palace. It's easy to expose your identity outside, and you will find us immediately. After some thought, Peng Yu dug out another wooden box from the ring. After opening it, there was a box full of red copper and snow silver inside. What about these? This time, not to mention Jiangling, both Zhuanyang and Wang Tai were full of disapproval. Zhuanyang couldn't help but say, Your Highness intends to spend money. You know that using money to buy things outside is indeed commendable. But don't you know? Our Shenchao coins have codes. Your Highness's own copper coins have codes in the palace. As soon as you use them, the palace will immediately know. No, you even got the currency number. Does it also have an anti-counterfeiting system? Peng Yu looked speechless, but he had to face the depth of civilization in this spiritual realm. At least, it cannot be simply regarded as ancient times. Zhuanyang seized several red copper coins with very auspicious numbering. 666, 99, 88, and so on. Obviously, these coins were deliberately selected by the emperor for his son. No wonder the market has been searching for a long time and we can't find these, so I dare not release them. Zhuanyang knew that many powerful figures in the Divine Dynasty liked to collect coins, especially those with special numbers, which were the most popular. After careful consideration, Peng Yu pulled out a small iron box again. This is the last box. He left the palace with only a box of gold melon seeds, a box of red copper and snow silver, and this iron box. This is the iron box prepared by the 6th prince, which contains various items needed for treasure exploration in the 1,000-year tomb of Tianhua Pass. The vermilion bird gall that can detoxify 100 poisons, the jade drum that can break through miasma, and the peacock-colored clothes that can fly into the sky. After opening it, he dug up a beautifully carved boat. Treasure. Zhuanyang's eyes lit up and then dimmed. The heavenly martial divine way was prevalent in the Great Kun Divine Dynasty. He and Jiangling were both martial arts practitioners who could only activate martial arts divine weapons, but could not control the treasures of the immortal family. But it is obvious that Peng Yu's goal is not their master and servant. He aimed at Dr. Wang and said, "The Grand Hospital comes from the 6 palaces of the immortal Dao, so there should be Jinyuan, right? I'll handle it." Dr. Wang looked dumbfounded. "Wait a minute, I didn't plan to go with you. Also, Your Highness, where are you going? You can't mess around with your current situation." Then, questioning Zhuanyang, as an accompanying reader, "Why don't you advise Your Highness?" Zhuanyang rolled his eyes and looked at the sky speechless. "If I can persuade, can I still fall into Shiraz County? Wang Lao, do you think there is still room for improvement at the moment?" He said weakly, "Your Highness is going to the Wuhua Palace to observe filial piety for his mother. Think about it." Zhuanyang tries his best to beautify the behavior of the 6th prince. "Yesterday, I was harassed by Princess 7 in the palace, and it was His Highness who came forward to rescue me. At that time, His Highness saw Princess 7 and her palace maids dressed in bright clothes and felt very unhappy. Zhao Guifei just passed away at the beginning of the year. Although she is not her legitimate mother, Princess 7 does not need to be filial for too long. But doing so undoubtedly violated the taboo of the 6th prince." Dr. Wang nodded instinctively at the thought of this. "I understand. Seeing that no one in the palace remembers my mother's consort, I felt depressed and decided to go to the Wuhua Palace to observe filial piety for my mother. This is a filial son. What a great child, how could there be a problem with their bloodline?" Peng Yu timely made a look of bowing his head and shedding tears. He stared at the ants on the ground with red circles around his eyes. Looking at the pitiful posture of the little boy, Dr. Wang thought of his own children and grandchildren, but he also forgot that the one in front of him came from the heavenly palace and was the favored child of the emperor. "Well. Then you can go. As long as you don't implicate me." The old man hugged the medicine bag and took a few steps back. "How can we do that? If you leave, who will pull the car and set sail? You have left, who will treat His Highness?" Peng Yu and Zhuanyang looked at each other, seeing the determination in their eyes. At this moment, 2 12-year-old children choose to join forces to bully a 600-year-old man. Peng Yu asked weakly, "Later, the envoy from the palace will arrive. How will you reply?" Zhuanyang continued to work harder. "Of course, we don't want to implicate you, Mr. Wang. In a moment, you can just say that you didn't have time to catch up when you saw His Highness leave. But His Highness is not well, so just now." Thinking of just now when His Highness 6 vomited blood, Dr. Wang felt a chill in his heart. "Yeah, in case something happens on this road and I don't keep up. Will His Majesty the Emperor blame himself?" Cough. Peng Yu coughed a few times, his body swaying and swaying. Dr. Wang's face changed and he quickly felt his pulse. At this moment, Zhuanyang whispered the voice of the demon god in his ear, "Also, don't forget. The Emperor asked you to conduct a comprehensive examination for His Highness after he recovers from his illness. Your soul and blood should be detected. And His Highness's blood. Yeah, isn't going out of the palace to solve the bloodline problem for the 6th prince. The 6th prince runs away, and if he keeps up, he will have more opportunities to treat his illness. And this runaway, buying time for oneself and others, is actually a good thing." Thinking of this, Dr. Wang's heart was filled with excitement, and his hot blood rushed up to his head, saying, "I'm fighting." He took the jade boat from Peng Yu's hand and injected it into his own immortal Dao Jinyuan. Soon, the 10-zhang long jade spirit immortal boat appeared in front of the 4 people. Xianfang has 12 rooms, enough for 4 people to live in. This is the treasure of the immortal family. Peng Yu's eyes sparkled brightly and he boarded the ship first. Looking at the scenery of Baise County, he was full of energy and said, "Let's go to Tianhua Pass." Tianhua Pass. After boarding the ship, Wang Tai controlled the immortal boat to fly towards the gate of the county mansion on the cloud. Shouldn't it be going to Luomen Pass? Peng Yu remained silent and silently walked towards the cabin, selecting a satisfactory room. After Zhuanyang's master and servants came up, Zhuanyang studied the various facilities on the immortal boat. Well, the arrow tower can be used, with a complete range of demon-slaying cannon and dragon-slaying spear, possessing the power to kill enemies. Jiangling went to the stern to study the propulsion system. The sails and clouds are all here, so it should only take 3 days' journey to Tianhua Pass. Seeing that the three of them had ignored him, Dr. Wang's face turned black and he vaguely felt that he had boarded a black boat. To go to Wuhua Palace, you must pass through Luomen Pass. What's the use of them going to Tianhua Pass? Do they really want to go to the Wuhua Palace? After a while, he pondered. Wait, has the sixth prince left the palace? The palace received news that those crazy women still tore him apart. Damn it, there are assassins along the way. The old man was covered in a cold sweat when he saw the cabin door open and the sixth prince's little brain popped out. Wang Lao, I'm going to Tianhua Pass. Remember, I'm from the Marquis's mansion of Yunyang and a scholar of Zhuanyang. Don't expose your identity. Otherwise, the assassin will catch up, and you can go deal with Wang Lao. Wang Tai couldn't catch a breath as he silently used the Changchun fairy technique to bring down his anger. But after a while of good luck, I couldn't help but curse loudly. The old man is treating illnesses and saving people. Do you want the old man to deal with assassins? Do you think saving people is the same thing as killing people? The cabin door opened again, and Peng Yu's little head crawled out. He put on a well-behaved appearance and flattered Dr. Wang. Compared to killing, of course saving people is better. So, the elderly, we all need you to save the lives of the three of us. Bang, the cabin door closed again, leaving only Dr. Wang speechless in the wind. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Astrological Tracking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Astrological Tracking. Put on, Peng Yu lay in bed, looking at the roof. Finally came out of the heavenly palace. On that day, learning that the emperor was going to conduct a physical examination for the sixth prince, checking his soul and bloodline for any problems, really frightened Peng Yu. For the past 3 days, this matter has been hanging in his heart, and now that he has escaped from the palace, he is slightly relieved. But what should we do next? Peng Yu stood up and dug out the diary of the sixth prince from the Qiankun ring. The sixth prince has a cold, proud, and solitary personality, and his diary is even more concise and clear. On the 15th day of the first lunar month, I accompanied my father to the Qianyuan Hall to receive my congratulations. After the congratulations, I accompanied my mother to watch a play. On February 18th, I read at the Zhaoyuan Hall. On the 2nd day of May, practice and read. A simple diary is like a running account, unable to reveal the temperament of the prince himself. Peng Yu held his cheek in his hand and casually flipped through his diary, saying, "It's like a puppet. Judging from his daily activities, he's completely a robot." Turning to the last page of the diary, there is a clue to the heavenly fire past thousand-year tomb, the third of the 10 precepts of the Qiankun, which is highly likely to be there. Touching the diary, Peng Yu murmured softly, "I am not you, nor do I intend to become you, let alone take away your fatherly love. Your name is Kunho, and my name is Peng Yu. When I find the 10 commandments, I will return to earth. Of course, before that, I will help you investigate the cause of death and let you rest well." The life in Kunwu Heavenly Palace is extremely luxurious, and there are countless natural resources and treasures that can be accessed at will. But for Peng Yu, all he wanted was the 10 commandments of heaven and earth, and then he went home to reunite with his family. Of course, it would be even better if you could bring the art of longevity back home and live with your family. After thinking for a moment, Peng Yu dug out another notebook, recorded his experience of leaving the palace, and wrote, "Borrowing a jade spirit immortal boat." Turn forward. Since he passed through, he has used all kinds of things, even a cup of tea or a piece of dim sum, with the identity of the sixth prince. Peng Yu is a person with clear grievances and almost paranoid tendencies. He doesn't like to owe others favors, let alone occupy others' things for no reason. Mine is mine, yours is yours. Therefore, the diary he prepared himself unraveled everything. I plan to repay all the favors I gained by impersonating the identity of the sixth prince before returning to Earth. For Peng Yu, the greatest favor undoubtedly came from the sixth prince himself. After all, he still used his physical body. Of course, the Qian Sanjia is an exception. This ring comes from the ancient Qiankun sect. Peng Yu believed that he and the sixth prince were both descendants of the Qiankun sect and did not consider this ring a favor from the sixth prince. There are other rings as well. In Peng Yu's view, as a descendant of the Qiankun sect, he was already qualified to reclaim his belongings and even earn some interest. By the way, the Qiankun teleportation array of the Great Kun Dynasty comes from the Qiankun sect. When I return to Earth, why not help them completely repair the teleportation array, or add a few more to them? In this way, I can also repay the Emperor's favor. Thinking of the Emperor who was full of fatherly love, Peng Yu unconsciously thought of his father who was far away on Earth in his hometown. Slightly disappointed, Peng Yu wrote 10 years on the first page of his notebook. He wrote this note in Chinese characters, so he is not afraid of others discovering it. This is the deadline I set for myself, 10 years to go home. After 3 days in this foreign world, Peng Yu was very anxious. I am worried that my identity will be exposed, and I am also worried that after staying here for a long time, I will gradually forget everything on Earth. The residents of the Dao Qiankun dynasty lived a long life, ranging from 300 years to thousands of years. Compared to these leisurely years, what does 20 years of life on Earth count? Therefore, Peng Yu must go home before he forgets about the Earth. And I also don't want to see the elderly and middle-aged state after going back. Feeling uneasy, Peng Yu closed his eyes and leisurely went to his dreamland to search for Duke Zhou's homeland. Only the Duke of Zhou in his dream can bring him some comfort. Leaving the palace without permission and entering the imperial tomb without permission are both crimes of beheading. Dr. Wang muttered incessantly and controlled the Jade Spirit Immortal boat to fly in the sky. Quickly, there was a vibration coming from the stern of the ship, the sails were raised, the cloud wheels were spinning, and a hidden shield wrapped around the ferry boat, making it imperceptible to outsiders. It's a gift from the imperial court, and this magical treasure is indeed extraordinary. Wang Tai nodded and saw Jiangling walking from behind. You come over here. As a native of the Great Kun Dynasty, there is a natural arrogance towards people like Jiangling who have risen from their subordinate worlds. What are you doing at Tianhua Pass? Jiangling, facing outsiders, has always been cautious and concise. Avoid assassins. Is it that simple? Jiangling remained silent. Even if we take a detour and turn to the 4 counties in the 4th circle, or just hide in the 5th circle, it's enough. Why go to the southernmost end? Seeing that the oil and salt in Jiangling were not entering and there was nothing to ask, Wang Tai helplessly said, anyway, you decide that the old man will not care and will only be responsible for setting sail for you. But I'll go to the medicine mountain later. I need to collect some spiritual medicines. He went out this time with the intention of finding spiritual medicine to refine pills for the 6th prince and solving his blood troubles. Yao Shan. No way. Zhuanyang walked over and sat at the helm. Wang Lao, it's not a secret for you to come to Yaoshan to collect herbs. As long as your majesty sends someone to investigate, it will be exposed immediately. It may even associate us with going to Yaoshan. We should first go to Baichen County in the 2nd circle, hide our identity after reaching the 2nd circle, and try to jump away using the teleportation array. No need, just head south. Peng Yu stood up from the cabin and said, let's transfer from Baise County to Hongshan County, and then set sail to Tianhua Pass without using teleportation arrays. The use of teleportation arrays will inevitably expose traces. To leave, completely conceal everything. As for going to Yaoshan, there are many mountains and ridges in Nanba Commandery. When encountering a suitable elixir on the way, Wang Laoshun suggested picking one. After leaving Jinwu City, Peng Yu became less anxious. As long as Zhuanyang and Wang Tai cannot communicate with the Heavenly Palace, they can only go to the Heavenly Fire Pass with themselves to find the ring. And that ring is in the secret realm of the ancient tomb, just 1 or 2 days away. Besides, on the road, I can also learn more about the Qiankun fairy art. Sun Zheng pursued the city of Baise County and closed the teleportation array again for search, but there was no clue. Is it difficult? They didn't leave the teleportation array. That way, it's really difficult to check. Who knows which direction they're running in? To the north, should we take Lingshu County? But if you want to go to Lingshu County, wouldn't it be easier to teleport directly? Is it Hongshan County? But Hongshan County is in the south, isn't there any illness there? Or do you take a big detour from Shigu County to Susui County, and then turn back to Tsangshuan County? There is no need to teleport the array, there are more possibilities in all directions. Thinking of this, Sun Zheng's head grew bigger. Sun, just now I compared the images, and it seems that the Imperial Physician's order from Tai Hospital is also following His Highness. Sun Zheng's eyelids twitched as he instructed the crowd, send orders to each level along the way and have them carefully inspect them. I will go back and report to your Majesty. He hurriedly returned to the palace, and when he found out that Wang Tai was with the 6th prince, the emperor was surprised and said, "Is the emperor's actions so thorough? Even the imperial physician on the way is prepared." Li Gonggang, standing beside him, smiled and said, "This further shows that His Highness is like you. He is as resourceful as your Majesty when you were young." When the emperor was young, he loved to travel in humble clothes and even made many achievements outside. His first meeting with Consort Zhao was also outside. But the premise is that he is indeed my son. The emperor's gaze was deep and he instructed Sun Zheng, "Keep searching. Bring them back safely. Also, keep an eye on the road to Luomen Pass. If anyone dares to take action, they will be killed." "Yes. Go and send orders to Nangong again, let him keep an eye on it." During this period, no one is allowed to use the road signs of Luomen Pass. After Sun Zheng left, the emperor asked Duke Li, "How is it in the harem?" Several empresses have heard that Prince Lu has left the palace and have informed the sect and family that they are afraid they will. "Humph, a group of jumping beetles. Wait for me to suppress all the demons, kill the demon emperor, solve the troubles outside, and then come forward to deal with them." The ancient immortal sect was destroyed, and the Great Kun Dynasty rose up. But since the reign of the late emperor, the ancient orthodoxy has been active one after another, and various aristocratic families have been exerting constraints, causing great annoyance to the divine emperor. Almost every woman in his harem, including the empress and Zhao Guifei, has a tangled network of power behind them. Thinking of the harem, I couldn't help but think of the death of Consort Zhao. The emperor felt heavy and immediately gave feedback on his face. Li Gonggang secretly complained and had to carefully serve beside him, fearing that the emperor would become angry again. "Since the empress passed away, your Majesty's mood has been deteriorating day by day. Tell the immortal palace to use astrology and fortune-telling to calculate the whereabouts of the emperor's son." Li Gonggang hesitated and said, "Your Highness possesses imperial aura and is connected to the divine aura. Even as the most brilliant diviner in the immortal palace, it is difficult to calculate his whereabouts." The emperor took out a gold seal from the drawer. Li Gonggang had a solemn expression and held the seal in his hands. "Don't spread the news outside after receiving it, report it directly to me. At Sun Zheng's place. Let them make a fuss, I want to see how many people can jump out this time." All of them were recorded in a notebook, and I turned around to slowly sort them out. Yes. The 6 palaces of Xiandao, also known as the 6 palaces of Luotian, are the official holy sites for cultivating immortals established by the Great Kun Dynasty. This place gathers the cultivation elites of the Divine Dynasty and 800 worlds. The medical practitioners, astrologers, sorcerers, and alchemists who served in the divine court all came from the 6 palaces of Luotian. Li Gongong arrived at the 6 palaces of Luotian and carried a token to the most mysterious Tianli Palace. According to legend, the Tianli Palace inherits the divination techniques of the Lingshan school, one of the top 10 ancient immortal sections. The contemporary temple master is the first person in the Great Kun Divine Dynasty to perform divination. He had just arrived at the entrance of the Tianli Palace when he saw a pair of fairies dressed in green and red waiting, saying, "The master of the palace knows the intention of the duke, please move to the star stage." The second child bounced and pulled Li Gongong to a silver starry sea. In the center of this dazzling star field, there is a suspended star platform. This is the star performance platform left over from the ancient Wanxiang Palace. Standing at the edge of the starry sea, Li Gongong felt waves of vigorous and magnificent starlight divine power. If you are in the starry sea, you may turn into pus and blood in just a few moments. Give me the imperial seal. On the star platform, a white-clad warrior with a fairy-like demeanor spoke up. Li Gongong's imperial seal was pulled by an invisible force and fell into the sky above the star performance platform. The sea of stars unfolds, countless stars rise from the ocean, and the densely packed stars are automatically listed. In the blink of an eye, 120,000 stars form an ancient star chart formation. Is this the astrology technique of the ancient Wanxiang Palace? Li Gongong said with a stern heart, "Is the master of the Tianli Palace also practicing the secret technique of the Wanxiang Palace? Not for part-time training, but to borrow the star technique from the Wanxiang Palace to enhance my own mental calculation and Tianli. At some point, the white-clothed feathered warrior appeared by Li Gongong's side. Looking at the starry stage above, the emperor's seal dribbles and rolls. The golden phoenix automatically appears, appearing even more sacred against the backdrop of the stars. The power of the stars is mixed with imperial energy, and they are calculating and tracking the whereabouts of the 6th prince on their own. Palace master, don't you need to go up and preside over it? The feathered man in white shook his head and said, "There's something wrong. I feel it's dangerous to go up, so I came down first." Rumble. The imperial seal above shook, and the stars exploded one by one in the sky. The phoenix returned to the imperial seal in morning and fell into the sea of stars. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Qiankun Chronicles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Qiankun Chronicles. The imperial seal fell into the starry sea and immediately turned into a stream of light flying back to the heavenly palace. Li Gongong's expression changed in shock and he said, "Lord, why is this? It has nothing to do with you. It's your Highness 6 who carries the ancient secret treasure." Although it's just your Majesty's personal seal, it also has the blessing of divine energy. Your Highness's secret treasure has some origin. The white-clothed warrior tried to calculate, but sensed some kind of crisis and dared not truly pry into the reality. He estimated in his heart, it should be a secret treasure of the ancient sect leader. Ordinary divination techniques cannot calculate the whereabouts of His Highness. What about that? Palace Master, you are the top diviner in our divine dynasty. If you have the heart mirror celestial wheel of the ancient Lingshan sect, the universe star map of the Wanxiang Palace, or the Dao Yuan Zhu of the Hunyuan sect, I can give it a try. But now, the feather soldier shook his head. It's not that it can't be calculated, but it's too troublesome. That secret treasure was protected, and I had to calculate by force. The backfire damage was too great and not worth it. I observe that His Highness Lu has a unique destiny and is not a sign of premature death. You should wait at Luomen Pass and Longyin County. The Jade Spirit Immortal Boat, Peng Yu pushed open the window and gazed at the brilliant starry night. The rings on his hands automatically took shape, and the power of the Qiankun Dao was about to stir, enveloping him and the entire immortal boat. Someone is calculating me. The 10 precepts of Qiankun are personally refined by our sect's founder, Qiankun Daoist, and have been blessed by more than 10 generations of predecessors. To count my fate, I must at least present the same level of sect leader's treasure, right? Peng Yu gave a cold smile, closed the window, and continued to study the Taoist scriptures. The sixth prince did not leave any memories for Peng Yu, only a diary of the accounts and a copy of the Qiankun Chronicles. This is the cultivation experience of a cultivator from the Qiankun sect. There are the first 3 levels of Qiankun mind techniques, as well as techniques such as heart picking and brain exchange, spirit eye method, space movement, sumergiezi, and nearby end of the world. Placing the records flat on his lap, Peng Yu solemnly extended his right hand and aimed it at the teacup on the table. Right hand luck, Qiankun true chi probing towards the teacup, slowly enveloping it. Come on, Peng Yu lifted his mind and hooked his teacup, swaying and drifting towards him. Suddenly, as the teacup was about to fall into his hand, he immediately lost control and fell to the ground. Peng Yu quickly extended his left hand, and the teacup flickered in mid-air, appearing steadily in his left hand. Sure enough, it's still difficult to control the Qiankun true chi with your right hand. The left hand has the turbid heavenly gang chi of the Qiankun ring, with its own divine ability, making it easy to fight against the heavenly gang realm. But switching to the right hand won't work, and the Qiankun ring has its own special logo. It must be worn on the corresponding finger to activate the power of divine powers. Even if Peng Yu transferred Qian Sanjie to his right hand, he still could not activate it. Unless all 10 precepts are complete, heaven and earth are one. Forget it, use the left hand fighting technique and the right hand teleportation, that's enough. Currently, the top priority is to practice breathing and breathing. There are 6 levels of the Qiankun heart method, the first of which is called Nei Pi Xian, which belongs to the same level as the cultivation of qi and energy in the immortal and martial arts. We all need to cultivate true qi and warm up the essence. However, the Qiankun heart method requires peculiar requirements, requiring the visualization of a heaven and earth within the body, and using this heaven and earth as a blueprint to open 360 Qiankun acupoints and orifices within the body. If 360 acupoints can be opened up, heaven and earth can be unified and evolve into a true world. I have been contemplating in the heavenly palace for the past 3 days, but I have barely evolved the heaven and earth. Peng Yu closed his eyes, and a clear and turbid world formed in the spiritual platform between his eyebrows. The general outline of the Qiankun sect. Qian is the sky, Kun is the earth. The Qiankun represents the yin and yang of heaven and earth. Peng Yu, according to the myth of Pangu, regarded clear qi as the dry and turbid qi as the kun, and imagined the world of clear and turbid Qiankun. And he himself is Pangu in this clear and turbid world. Consciousness awakens in the clear and turbid world of heaven and earth, gazing at the world divided by clarity and turbidity. By teleportation, it seems that this day and this place have become several inches thicker. Consciousness stimulates true qi, and the 2 clear and turbid qi automatically merge, transforming into the Qiankun true qi that flows throughout the body. I only heard the sound of my body joints clicking, and the 3 acupoints were forcibly opened. Among those 3 heavens and earth, they also store the true energy of heaven and earth, simulating the transformation of clear and turbid heaven and earth. If only we could visit a few more Qiankun sect sites. Suddenly, his heart twitched. The Huntian Gang Qi of Qian Sanjie is a technique that can only be used after reaching the 3rd level of cultivation. In other words, this ring itself carries a massive amount of Qiankun true qi. If possible. Peng Yu tried to communicate with the ring, and a surge of vigorous energy suddenly rose, flowing all over his body along his left hand, forcefully forcing Peng Yu to open up physical acupoints. No, more precisely, it is to restart the closed acupoints one by one. 10, 20, 30 in the blink of an eye, that vigorous energy opened 300 acupoints and orifices. Yes, the sixth prince was originally in the second realm of heaven and earth, with 360 heaven and earth acupoints and orifices opened inside his body, forming a true, fully realm heaven. However, due to poisoning and death, his fully realm heaven collapsed, and the acupoints and orifices closed again. I used his physical body, just need to familiarize myself with the heavenly gang chi again, and awaken the acupoints and heaven and earth one by one. When the 36th acupoint is opened, one by one, the acupoints were filled with the true energy of heaven and earth, and the mighty river was surging in his body. Peng Yu rose to an unprecedented level of confidence. If I were to confront Xuanyang, perhaps I could compete with him as an incomparable Buzhong. But this is not yet the limit of Qiankun acupoints and orifices. Now his magic power is divided into 360 parts, and each acupoint has only a shallow layer of true qi. Peng Yu opened the Qiankun Chronicles, and saw the records about the Qiankun acupoints and orifices inside. That's the guess of the recording author. The Qiankun acupoint orifice, with one acupoint orifice and one heaven and earth, is similar to the elixir field. However, most cultivators only store true qi in one sea of qi and elixir field. Our generation cultivates Qiankun true qi, with 360 acupoint orifices and elixir fields. Can our magical power reach 360 times that of ordinary cultivators? But on the following page, the author once again denied. After trying, it was found that the limit was only 30.6 times, and the physical strength was not enough. After the author's handwriting, there are two annotations with different handwriting. A delicate handwriting reads: the physical strength of a martial artist in the early stage is limited. If they can reach 360 times the true qi of an ordinary martial artist, it is already comparable to the heavenly gang realm. By the time the true qi undergoes a qualitative change caused by a quantitative change, they have already advanced. This is also the answer from the author's experiment. Theoretically feasible, but the physical body of a warrior cannot reach that level. Forcefully reaching that level may also complete the cultivation of the heavenly gang realm and directly enter the third realm. Unless the experts in the heavenly gang realm self-destruct their cultivation, they cannot achieve it at all. So, the general method of promoting the Qiankun realm only requires filling a portion of the 360 Qiankun acupoints with true qi. At present, Peng Yu can try to break through. But, Peng Yu looked at the third type of handwriting. In addition to the author's delicate handwriting, the third type of writing is written in a square and circular script. Insufficient physical condition, external strength. Hunting dragons and snakes, bathing in blood to build a foundation. Dragon blood is domineering, known as Qianyang, snake dan is yin and poison, known as Qunyin. The technique of building a foundation for dragons and snakes uses the power of dragon yang and snake yin to combine yin and yang, and cultivate the body of Qiankun. However, this method is very dangerous, and even a slight mistake can cause the dragon and snake to devour and explode, resulting in death. Is this the sixth prince's idea? But his physical body has not been built with dragons and snakes, so it should be a conjecture without practice. Yes, the third handwriting was left by the sixth prince, which is exactly the same as the handwriting in the diary. Looking through the entire Qiankun Chronicle, apart from the author's senior's own handwriting, there is only the annotation of the sixth prince plus another strange and delicate font, which seems to be female. Peng Yu stared at the secret technique and pondered. He is quite interested in the technique of building foundations for dragons and snakes, or rather Peng Yu is a bit self-conscious about the protagonist. To live well in this world and return to earth, one's own strength is essential. And the rich mana, dozens or even hundreds of times the mana, undoubtedly can increase one's advantage. If one day the incident of taking possession is exposed, at least I can escape. However, the dragon and snake foundation building technique of the sixth prince is just speculation. Should we take a gamble? Bet your luck as the protagonist. After careful consideration, Peng Yu flipped back to the first page of the actual record. Qian is the sky, Kun is the earth. The Qian Kun represents the yin and yang of heaven and earth. This sentence outlines the entire path of heaven and earth. There are three completely different types of handwriting behind. The first type of handwriting is vigorous and powerful. The author's annotation reads: "The secret of the Qiankun world depends on the yin and yang of heaven and earth. All cultivators of the Qiankun sect must refine the Qiankun true qi. This true qi has yin and yang attributes and simulates the origin of heaven and earth." The second type of handwriting is elegant and fluent, and the evaluation reads: "In ancient times, the Qiankun sect spun around, and all martial arts were beyond the realm of heaven and earth. The technique of turning in space is similar to the transformation of heaven and evil." The third type of handwriting is characterized by a calm and round font. Heaven and earth are the heavenly and Kun, and one's own is the heavenly and Kun. The path of the heavenly and Kun is a combination of internal and external cultivation. The true qi of the heavenly and Kun is the source energy of heaven and earth, mixed with one qi. This qi is the root of all things and the foundation of all beings, also known as Tai Chi, Hunyuan, and Hongmeng. Compared to the first two types of handwriting, Peng Yu benefited the most from the annotations of the sixth prince. It is through the annotations of the sixth prince that one can learn about the cultivation of the Qiankun fairy art. Peng Yu flipped through a few more pages. This page records the technique of removing the heart and changing the head. The senior wrote, "Consider the human skin as heaven and earth. Our true qi can open up heaven and earth and seize its organs. However, this method is taboo and should be used with caution to avoid falling into evil ways." The second handwriting reads: "The art of heart-picking is similar to the heart-picking hand in the demon palace, and the art of heavenly demons can also be simulated." On the contrary, the sixth prince elaborated on the key points. The human body is heaven and earth, and all sentient beings have Qiankun qi in their bodies. By communicating with their own Qiankun true qi, they can open up hidden secrets within their bodies and excavate their hearts. If the human body, heaven and earth, are viewed as closed boxes, then the true qi of heaven and earth is the universal key to opening the boxes. As long as the true energy of heaven and earth is injected into the human body, it can be easily unlocked and things can be taken out. There is also the technique of changing heads. The sixth prince wrote, "Create two spaces, one to cover the enemy's head and the other in your own hands, and exchange them." Even the sixth prince went further and created a technique called the induction of heaven and earth. All sentient beings have yin-yang Qiankun qi in their bodies. Using their own Qiankun qi as a guide, extract the Qiankun qi from their bodies for personal use. This method is already similar to mining and even more terrifying. As long as Peng Yu comes into contact with others, he can extract the Qiankun qi from his body through the Huntian gang qi and take it as his own. After reading for a while, Peng Yu remained firm in his confidence. The words of the sixth prince are more credible. Peng Yu flipped back to Dragon and Snake building the foundation. Compared to that long-forgotten senior and an inexplicable and wonderful critic, the original owner of his current body is even more trusted by Peng Yu. They have even prepared the exploration equipment for the Tianhua Pass Millennium Tomb, which can be used by multiple people. It is sufficient to prove that the sixth prince himself is a meticulous and cautious person. It is still very feasible for such a person to leave behind the technique of building a foundation with dragons and snakes. Add one more update. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Snake Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Snake Mountain. Dong 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 dong. A knock came from outside the house, and Zhuanyang's childish voice rang out. "Your Highness, we have arrived at Hongshan County. Wang Lao is going to Snake Mountain to collect medicine." Snake Mountain. Peng Yu's eyes lit up. Just as I was about to sleep, the pillow was delivered. The boy jumped off the ground and ran to open the door, excitedly asking, "Is there a snake on Snake Mountain? The kind that becomes a spirit?" "Naturally, there are also dragon species." "Dragon seed? Isn't that even saving the search for dragon blood?" "I'll go too." "No way. You stay." Zhuanyang thought without thinking, Snake Mountain is full of poisonous insects. "What are you going to? Such a disgusting place. If I stay alone, wouldn't it be even safer? Besides, if Wang Lao leaves, who will control the immortal boat? My Hunyuan true qi is not enough." In the eyes of outsiders, the sixth prince cultivates the true qi of Hunyuan and is a member of the Hunyuan sect. Of course, that's not a mistake. After all, the founder of the Qiankun sect, one of the top 10 ancient sects, was originally a disciple of the Hunyuan sect. After building a great road, one becomes independent on their own. Similar to this is the Yin-Yang sect. It also comes from the Hunyuan sect and is independent of the Hunyuan sect. Therefore, in ancient times, the three sects of Hunyuan, Qiankun, and Yin-Yang had a close relationship for generations. "Let's go down together, maybe we'll have another chance." "What kind of luck?" "The kind of falling off a cliff and picking up ancient spiritual treasures like in a novel or a big snake crossing the calamity. Let's take advantage of the fire and directly obtain the inner elixir." Zhuanyang looked disgusted and said, "Your Highness, why haven't you noticed it in the palace? Do you still have such an interest?" Peng Yu's face paused and he understood that he had released himself after leaving the palace, not playing the role of the sixth prince, but rather his own way of acting. He coughed lightly and, following the tone of the sixth prince, said solemnly, "Our palace is going to Snake Mountain to search for treasures. You and Jiangling will arrange it. Don't do it." Keep an eye on Peng Yu remained silent and looked at him with a stern expression. Finally, unable to bear the iceberg face of the sixth prince, Zhuanyang raised his hand and admitted, all right, I really lost to you. Stay by my side for a while, don't wander around. Also, go find Wang Lao to get the detoxification pill first." Peng Yu remained silent. "Hey! I've already taken you there. Don't use that expression, okay? I'm scared." In the palace, Zhuanyang was most annoyed by the expression of the sixth prince. Like a dead person, as if someone owes him money. "Don't you think if we go to Snake Mountain for a stroll, we might find some natural treasures or snake pet dragon seeds? Don't you want to raise a hybrid snake pet or real dragon baby with ancient bloodline?" "I don't want to." Zhuanyang's face was taut, that slippery and soft long worm. "Why raise it? Besides, my current main task is to quickly and safely escort this big trouble to the Wuhua Palace." "Peng Yu. Wait for me a moment." Closing the door, Peng Yu opened the Qiankun ring and dug out the small iron box of the sixth prince. "Take out a red gemstone-shaped object from inside, with a row label next to it. Vermilion bird gall, can detoxify." Flipping out a wooden incense burner, the label reads, "Dragon saliva incense burner can attract dragons and snakes." In his pocket, Peng Yu opened the door and disembarked from the ship with Zhuanyang. Jiangling and Dr. Wang have already stood outside the ship. Peng Yu gazed at Snake Mountain, which was a steep and foggy mountain range. Against the backdrop of a strong white miasma, the narrow and towering Snake Mountain seems to be crawling with ferocious pythons. 4 people stood under the old locust tree. Wang Lao put away the immortal boat, reduced it to the size of a palm, and returned it to Peng Yu, reminding him, "Your Highness, you are a precious body, so don't take any risks. Wait here with him too later." Wang Lao took out a yellow-orange pearl and pointed it at the 3 of them. "Draw a golden circle and place a snake-repellent spell around the locust tree. I have cast this spell with the realgar pearl. Ordinary insects and snakes dare not approach. Remember, you must never step out of this circle." After repeatedly emphasizing, Dr. Wang walked into the poisonous malaria with a medicine bag on his back. Hey! Let an old man go to collect medicine while we young people are waiting here. Why do you always feel something's wrong? Peng Yu urged. Jiangling, why don't you go and accompany him? Xuanyang. Don't think of my Lingguang. His main task is to protect us. And after entering the poisonous miasma, Dr. Wang transformed into a rainbow and flew into the sky, disappearing into the depths of Snake Mountain. Xuanyang Yu said, among the four of us, Wang Laoxiu is the highest. He has refined into the Yuan Shendao, with a lifespan of 1,000 years, and can currently be considered a prime year. Thinking of the appearance of Dr. Wang as a young old man, Xuanyang hesitated a bit and added, probably. Is Wang Tai, who lived for 600 years, still in his prime? Peng Yu sighed and said, compared to martial arts, immortality has a longer lifespan. By the way, Xuanyang, I see many people in the palace practicing both immortality and martial arts. Why don't you cultivate immortality? He spent 3 days in Kunwu Heavenly Palace and saw the princes, daughters, and nobles of the Marquis' mansion practicing both immortality and martial arts. On the other hand, Xuanyang specializes in martial arts and has no trace of immortal cultivation. I don't have that talent, Xuanyang replied decisively. Immortal Dao emphasizes spiritual roots and immortal fate, while I only have martial arts roots. Yunyang Marquis' mansion is not a poor family. It's not difficult to make a spiritual root for you. In Dakuan, there is a saying that, wealth and prosperity cultivate immortality, poverty seek martial arts. Ordinary families have no path forward and can only train their martial arts skills to join the army. And the wealthy and powerful in the world are extravagantly seeking longevity, plundering resources from 800 worlds to prolong their lives. The sixth realm of martial arts can live for 800 years, and the fourth realm of immortality can live for 1,000 years. It's better to focus on martial arts than to be distracted for just 200 years, only 1,000 years. Maybe not. If the immortal Tao could make up for the later two lost realms in ancient times. Xuanyang sneered, I didn't know that your highness still has such ambition. To perfect the lost realm of the immortal way. With that skill, your highness, you can honestly understand the Kunwu Heavenly Emperor Classic and live for 800 years before we can. But Lenovo has always pursued immortality crazily in the late years of its emperors. Perhaps the desire for immortality has already taken root in the royal bloodline. Thinking of this, Xuanyang was too lazy to continue talking to Peng Yu and sat down waiting for Wang Lao to return. Peng Yu lowered his eyebrows and turned the ring. Xuanyang's words reminded him. He only started practicing the first 3 core techniques of the Qiankun sect after obtaining the record of the 6th prince. How to practice and comprehend the higher level of the Dongtian Avenue after Fujian. There is no mention of it in the 2 rings. Perhaps before running away, I should think about how to do the next cultivation method. Snake Mountain is a dark place, hidden and cold in the depths of a cave. The cultured scholar waited quietly by the edge of the dragon pool. Not long after, the dragon pond shimmered with water, and a snake head the size of a square table floated up. Why, 4th Auntie still remembers me as a wild creature and sends someone here to comfort me. The snake spewed poisonous mist as it spoke, causing the scholar to retreat in fear. The scholar's forehead was sweating with cold sweat, feeling the dragon power mixed in with the snake demon. His legs and feet were weak in fear, and he hurriedly said, Lord Li Huang. The 4th princess originally wanted to come in person. But she failed to poison and assassinate the emperor, so she cannot move around at will at the moment. So, let me come and take a message for you. Humph. Isn't it so trustworthy? The princess of the Grand Dragon Palace would think of my poor relative. The Snake King spoke in a stern tone and said, Tell me, what do you want me to do? But first, let me explain and exchange it for the Dragon Clan's martial arts. The scholar nodded repeatedly and said, Yes, yes. The princess said that it's useless for her to guard the heavenly book of the Dragon Palace. She has already printed and organized the 13 Xianjing scriptures of the Dragon Palace, and asked me to send them to you. Oh, so generous. Yes, the Kunwu clan has destroyed the Dragon Palace for 12 years. Now, only 4 aunties are left to escape from the Dragon Palace. In the past, she didn't like us wild creatures mixed with dragons and snakes, but now. Hee hee. She can only hope that we can restore the true dragon bloodline and help her revitalize the Dragon Palace, right? The scholar remained dumbfounded. That's right. Now that the Dragon Palace has been destroyed and the 4th princess has failed to seek revenge, she is in a state of embarrassment and evading the pursuit of Kunwu Heavenly Palace. Therefore, she had to rely on the wild seeds left by several brothers outside. Her Royal Highness Princess said that Kun Hao, the Emperor's beloved son, had left the palace without permission and wanted to go to the Wuhua Palace to be filial to his wife. She wanted you to kill Kun Hao and avenge the Dragon Palace. Kun Ho. He is the 6th prince who was claimed by the Divine Emperor to be a heavenly gift of Liner and the auspicious sign of destroying dragons. Exactly. The 6th prince was born 12 years ago. His full moon banquet and the dragon annihilation celebration of the Great Kun Dynasty happened to be held together. Even the emperor claimed that the downfall of the Dragon Palace was entirely due to the auspiciousness brought by the 6th prince. Yes, 4th aunt deeply hates the Kunwu clan. Now, the auspicious declaration of the dragon will naturally not be missed. The black snake slowly emerged from the dragon pond, its body gradually shrinking to about 3 zhang, and slowly circling around the scholar. Suddenly, the black snake felt a strange smell. Did you smell anything? It spat out its snake venom, with an indescribable excitement in its veins. The scholar's face was bewildered. He was not the body of a dragon or a snake, but rather a sea fish, naturally not as sensitive as a black snake. The sound of rustling came from the snake's den, and countless colorful venomous snakes appeared. They seemed to be aware of it and rushed out of their nest, climbing towards a certain place down the mountain. There's something there, murmured the leaving wilderness snake king. There's a treasure that attracts the blood of dragons and snakes. Is this someone bringing it to your door, or is it a bait? After thinking for a while, he couldn't resist the greed brought by his bloodline and rushed out with a group of big snakes. The scholar saw this and quickly asked, Your Highness, about the matter of killing the 6th prince. I'll go when I get the treasure. Finally signed the contract. Open rewards and monthly tickets, you can still vote for monthly tickets even if they are not listed now. Everyone, please vote for new books. Don't go to old book side to split the tickets anymore. End of this chapter.